right, we'll get going. And if anyone has, if there's any like technical issues or something, just fire it into the chat. Like, I don't know, can't hear you, screen's gone blank, some weird stuff like that. Because I'll try to get straight into it. All right, nice one. So, goal of today is to give you a complete overview of nutrition, but more importantly, I want to give you as much free value as possible, and as much value that you can actually put into practice and into action next week. And I've tried to show you as many visual examples. I've tried to, make everything as nice as I can. And I'm all about, like, I don't really hold back on these. Like, I never gatekeep anything. Like, if there's anything that you want to know, like, just fire away. I'll do my best to like release all of the important information, how many calories you need, what's good, what's bad, all that kind of stuff. And then ultimately how you can use this to eat better. And for a lot of you, you'll have like weight loss, fat loss goals, and kind of put that into practice, right? So my goal for you today is I will go through a little bit of an introduction, which I'm sure will be quite relatable for a lot of you. And then I'll go through what the 5 most important pillars with nutrition. And then actually, as importantly, as soon as I've done those, I'm going to show you, like I said, how to calculate your own numbers, how that looks like in the real world when you're eating out, all that kind of stuff. I've got a lot of like new visuals and new graphs and stuff to kind of show you at the end. And I'll also show you the mindset and the consistency of how to actually be consistent for the long term, right? And then share all the secrets that I do with my own clients. Oh yes, if anyone wants to get the ebook, two things to mention to you. You can get it on this call. I basically put the early discount back on for everyone who's on the masterclass. If anyone has got any of my ebooks, or you've got the bundle, I know a lot of you can let everyone know in the chat if it's any good, if you like the recipes. Hopefully you do. But you can get the discount on here, and in my ebooks it has like lots of different simple and easy recipes that will hit your protein and fiber targets, all of that good stuff. And you can scan it into MyFitnessPal, all this sort of cool stuff. So if you're looking to make nutrition simple and easy and you haven't got any of the recipe books yet, I recommend that you definitely try these. I'll put these up at the end of the screen if anyone wants to use them. And these are all very user friendly. I know my whole brand is like simple and easy, so that's kind of what I try to optimize for. So you've got that. And then the big question, you can ask me all about the app at the end, because I'm sure that you're going to have questions for me on this as well. With regards to the app, there's lots of cool stuff in here, and this is I built this whole thing from like the ground up, right? You need to be on the early list if you want to get access to like all of the launch discounts and stuff. So again, I'll put this up at the end, and if anyone is watching on replay, I'll put it in the description below. Same as the ebook links and stuff like that. But put yourself on the list, and I'll give you all of the details like tomorrow morning for like the last week and all that kind of stuff. So the app essentially is going to be a place where you can track your food. It's going to be a place where I am going to be in there like hosting live calls, and I'll have a community of people in there. You'll get access to like 500 of all of my recipes, and a meal planner that, like, the meal planner is the best one, even for someone like me who doesn't do like a lot of meal planning and stuff on my phones. But you can like filter everything for something as really simple and easy as you want. So if you're like, I want a high protein meal that has 30 grams of protein and 5 grams of fiber in under 200 calories, you can filter for like absolutely everything. So the app's going to be like amazing. You've got workouts and all that kind of stuff, but put yourself on the early list. I won't delve into it too much now, but I promise you're going to love this. If you've noticed, I have never been sponsored by anyone, because I don't care about sponsorships. I don't care about brand deals, all of that sort of stuff. All I care about is the message, because if you help more people, they'll follow into you and they'll buy what you do, right? So it's all about helping people and basically getting that message across. So what makes this a little bit different? Oscar is outside. He's not in here because he's going to run all over the cables and turn my screen off. But I'll give you a little bit of context about me, in case you don't know. There's me and Oscar, but what I do is I essentially help men and women, but predominantly women, because that's kind of like always been my audience, to make nutrition for fat loss very simple and easy. I'm all about like no crazy restrictions. The balance is the answer is usually about balance, where it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, basically getting that message across. And I have coached, I mean, it says here thousands, but I, quite frankly, to be honest with you, probably about 10,000 plus ladies in the last decade, because I used to run a boot camp in Fulham. I'm based in London. Yeah, that's essentially what I do. And I want to make you basically look and feel your best and package it in a way that is also enjoyable and fun and something that you can actually feel is achievable, right? Like I said, I am in London. I used to run a ladies boot camp, which just stopped not too long ago, like last October. I live with my dog, and I'm a very outdoorsy person. And that person in the top left is my mum. The reason I tell you that, because I always say, if my mum can do strength training and she's 69 years old, everyone can do something. She has a limited mobility in her shoulder, but I train her on a Monday, and the other 2 days a week I'll tell her to do something. I give her some other of my workouts to do, right? But if my mum can do it, everyone can do it, right? And there's no such, the barrier to entry for these things is actually very low, okay? You don't have to do any complex workouts, complex diets, complex nutrition, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my background, but we'll get straight into it now. In terms of the reality, just a bit of an introduction. I would imagine that most people here, okay, are probably 30, more likely 40 plus, right? And the biggest struggle is when you get older is it doesn't quite shift as much, as your body doesn't quite operate and work with you as it once did, or it doesn't feel like that, right? So back in the day, you are probably skipping meals, but weight still comes off. You're not really thinking about nutrition and diet. You didn't really think about calories, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, just see your the numbers in the chat. Yeah, perfect. And ultimately, you had like complete control, and you could always get results pretty fast, right? But now everything feels like a lot more challenging, and it feels like you're doing everything right, but you don't get results. You follow advice, especially the stuff that you see online, but you don't get a lot of progress. Nothing really works, and it can be very frustrating, right? But there are a few things that change after 40, right? So for sure, there is a hormonal thing in terms of like pre, peri, and post-menopause, and I deal with all that kind of stuff, so very familiar with these challenges. There's the lifestyle change, and then there's the impact of losing muscle, which I guarantee a lot of you are not factoring in, which is very important. That's why you see me talk about strength training so much, and why I get my mum to do it, because it's the one thing that will, you know, keep you robust, and more muscle means more calorie burn. So very, very important. And the cost of getting the whole thing wrong is that ultimately the people that I speak to, they're stuck in endless yo-yo cycles of like, I'm going to try, and then they keep failing. They try and fail. And the more often you do it, the harder it becomes, right? You waste time and money. You would be amazed at the amount of people that I speak to who have spent thousands on like supplements, weird coaching programs, all that kind of stuff, right? So there's that side of it. But when you don't get it right and you rely on stuff that isn't helping you, like I said, you waste time and money. And ultimately, you lose confidence and you start to get health complications. And the best cure is prevention. I can't stress that enough, people, right? Eat better, train better, move better. You don't want to deal with the problems when they're there, right? You want to do the stuff beforehand. And ultimately missing out on life, right? Because if you don't fix a lot of these things, or you're not doing them already, you know, you might want to spend more time with the grandkids, go on hikes, do stuff that you can't do. So, you know, that also unlocks that for you as well. And a good example of what, you know, sorting all of that out looks like for Kat. She was with me for a long time, for about 3 years, but in the first 18 months, I think she ended up dropping something like 45 kilos, like amazing results. That was just in like a 90-day process on the left-hand side. But before she started, essentially stuck in endless yo-yo cycles, didn't feel good about herself, and she just felt a bit there, wasn't really where she wanted to be, but after, completely different person, and was able to, you know, improve her confidence, slim down her waistline, but just ultimately look and feel her best, right? Now, I'm going to get straight into it. Again, no fluff. So on to nutrition, which is like the broad topic of today. You've got 5 important pillars that you need to make sure that you are doing. You need to make sure that you are tracking and counting or being aware of calorie control, right? All diets do the same thing, which you'll hear me say in a bit. But calories, very, very important, right? If you don't have an awareness of calories, right? You need to make sure that you have an awareness of the amount of protein that is going in, and you need to be paying attention to the fiber and the volume, right? Usually in that order. And then really the other thing that you need to make sure that you are doing is also managing this into like social events, holidays, and eating out. The eating out thing, arguably one of the biggest things that throws people off. And again, I'll show you how to manage that, what to do, some hacks and all that kind of stuff, right? This is, if you can master these things, which I'm going to show you how to today, it's just going to make sticking to nutrition a lot easier, okay? So just a quick intro on the whole nutrition. It can be very confusing online. If I said to you right now into the chat, I'm sure that you see a lot of things online in terms of ways of eating. It can be carnivore, it can be low carb, it can be keto. One person online is telling you that you shouldn't have these foods. Another person online is giving you buzzwords like insulin and metabolism and all of these sort of things, which we'll again cut to, and you know, lots of different kind of diets that you can that you can do online. But ultimately, like I said, they all do the same thing. They basically restrict a particular food group, therefore restrict calories, therefore lose fat. I'd rather understand it and know what the truth is myself and how I can actually balance that in my everyday life rather than just being completely restrictive, right? So the things that I recommend people don't do when it comes to nutrition, right? Follow some kind of diet, right? If it has a name, chances are that it's probably going to be something that you can't follow for the long term, right? An example is the ketogenic diet or low carb diet or carnivore. It's not that these things don't work, and if they do work for you, then great. But most of the time, they do the same thing, right? Any plans that are under 1,000 calories, you should not be eating under 1,000 calories, right? Unless you have a wedding to get ready for in a month or a photo shoot in a month. And you have not done anything and you need to get in that dress. But apart from that, in all seriousness, jokes aside, you shouldn't really be doing that. You need to find ways. There are ways. Everyone should be losing fat on more than that. So if anyone here says that, oh, I've tried doing counting calories and I've been on under 1,000, you haven't lost weight, you're not actually eating that amount of calories. You don't need to restrict foods that you enjoy. Okay, absolutely you don't. And you definitely don't need to say no to social events and holidays. I myself will go out multiple times in the week for social events. I go on holidays, all of that kind of stuff. I'm a very normal person. Contrary to popular belief, I don't just eat all of the food that is on my kitchen counter in my videos. I do have a normal life and have steak and fries and ice cream from time to time. Everything in moderation, right? Just a quick one on food labels, because I think that this is some people don't always sort of understand or know how to read these, right? Just to give you an example here, right, is that the only things that you really need to pay attention to for me, right, is like the calories, the fats, and the fiber are like the 3 big ones, okay? The stuff that you don't need to worry about, right, is where it says like carbohydrates of which sugars, right? And you look at it can be quite confusing. Just focus on the amount of calories and then try to focus on the amount of protein and the amount of fiber that something gives you, okay? I'm not saying that carbs and fats are not important, but I like to focus on the stuff that is more meaningful rather than the stuff that isn't, right? Because by default, if you're having high protein, you're having high fiber, right, you are going to be ticking like all the right boxes in terms of like whole foods, satiety, retaining your muscle, all of that kind of stuff, right? And sometimes, right, people really get caught up in the ingredients, right? Usually, the more minimally processed the food is, the kind of healthier it is for you. But you don't need to, just because something says, like here, it says that it has sugar in it, right, does not automatically make something bad. Nothing is binary, right? You don't have like a massive salad and then you sprinkle a little bit of like sauce or sugar and automatically it's like, oh, I've ruined the salad. No, it doesn't work like that, right? Everything is context within the broader meal and within the what you're doing as a whole, like over the course of the week, right? So just something to take into consideration there. Now, 5 most important pillars. We'll go through them. Calories, okay? Like I said before, all diets will do the same thing. They reduce your calories. If you do not eat carbohydrates, right, you are essentially kind of forced or boxed into having meats, fruits, veggies. That is going to keep you more full. That is what essentially makes you eat less and lose weight, okay? And calories are made up of protein, carbs, and fats. So there you've got 4 calories per gram for protein and carbs, and fats, you'll see me like mention that fats are very calorie dense. They have 9 calories per gram. That's why when you see olive oil, okay, I put olive oil in my food most days, right? But you just have to be aware of it because you pack in so many calories into such a small volume of food, okay? And the goal when it comes to the whole game of calories, right, is essentially not to track forever. It's to increase your awareness, okay? Because if you're someone who's like doesn't pay any attention and you're like, oh, I can't lose weight for XYZ, or it's so hard to eat healthy because of XYZ, it's because you've never like spent a little bit of time tracking. Same thing with like workouts. Once you've squatted and you've done the same exercises loads of times, you don't really think about it, right? But the first time that you track or you get into food and nutrition, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But like I said, the goal is to just make it really simple, increase your awareness, and then you can start to eat meals and foods on repeat and you go, oh, okay, cool, raspberries, low calorie, high fiber, amazing, I'll include more of those. Oh, I didn't know that avocados had that many calories. Oh, I didn't know that these foods are better than others, right? So it's all about educating yourself. And essentially, a calorie is a calorie. Okay. Oh, if someone said as well, tracking is overwhelming. When you see my app, hopefully that you will see how that makes it like a lot easier. I'll show you some cool stuff at the end. A calorie is a calorie, whether it's from a Mars bar or from a blueberry. Okay. The however is that not all foods are packaged the same, because the blueberries come with fiber, they come with water, they come with vitamins and nutrients and minerals. Therefore, you don't overeat it. Therefore, it is like better for you, right? So, but in theory, if you had 2 people on 2,000 calories, one person was having quote unquote junk food, another person was having like super healthy meals, their weight loss results would be almost identical. Okay, but you wouldn't feel the same. You wouldn't be fueling your body properly. That's why you see me like promoting whole foods so much, right? So I just wanted to kind of talk about that. And I still get people asking me about fruit and sugar and stuff like that, right? There is nothing wrong with fruit. You should be including as much of it into your diet as possible, because they are not like chocolate and candy and Haribo, right? Because they contain nutrients, fiber, they're full of water and volume, and they give you steady energy, right? More fruit is better. Get as much of it as you can in your diet. Most people are not getting in enough, right? So if you see someone holding up a banana on a video in a supermarket telling you that this is bad because it spikes your cortisol and all that, just please no. It's just not it, right? And then a lot of people also ask me about fat versus zero fat. This one probably more commonly, right? And they go really common. They'll be like, yeah, but the full fat has like healthy fats in it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And they'll also tell me that low fat is full of added preservatives and all that kind of stuff. And I'll be like, okay, cool. Well, most of the time, the low fat versions, I don't know about the ones that everyone here buys, but the ones that I get, which is just the zero fat version, is you get pretty much 98% of all the health benefits, right, that the full fat version gives you, but you just save on the calories, right? Just look at the back of the label. If it says like added sugar and added this and added that, cool, you don't have to buy that one, right? But the Farge ones, a lot of the ones that you see that are just like 0% fat of the full fat version are totally fine and healthy, and they're also really helpful for when you're in a calorie deficit. And the benefit to using foods like this is that they give you fewer calories, okay? You get often more protein for the same volume, okay? And like I said, they don't always have added sugar. But the benefit of using this is you can fill out the rest of those healthy fats with other stuff, right? You you free yourself up calories to go, okay, cool, I want to put some nuts and seeds on there, I want to put some more honey on there, put a bit of this on there, right? So that's the benefit of having leaner protein sources, right? And it matters. Of course, sometimes you might want the balance, right? In terms of like, okay, I don't have to, it's not binary. It's not like full fat or this or zero fat. You can pick the 5% ones, the one that you enjoy, but just something to be aware of, right? A lot of people here are going to ask me about alcohol. What's the deal with alcohol? Now, alcohol is, I wish I had a nice way to tell you this, but alcohol, there's, red wine is not going to help you sleep better. It's not going to help you relax. It's not going to give you any particular benefits. That said, again, everything in moderation, but alcohol has like 7 calories per gram. The worst options are going to be like the cocktails, right? I would try to avoid those if you can. And let's see if anyone knows in the chat, what is the lowest calorie drink, alcoholic drink that you can have? See if you can guess what it is. I'll put the chat on screen over here. Gin vodka. One person got it. You're not far off, people. You're not far off. Gin is very good. Basically, it's always like the spirits. But if you want the most efficient way to get drunk, which you didn't hear from me, tequila. That is the lowest way to actually get the lowest amount of calories with alcohol. But if you go from like, let's call it worst to best, right? It's like the highest is usually like cocktails and stuff like that. That for me, if there's one thing that I just don't ever include in my diet, it's those. To me, I don't want a drink that is 400 calories. That is like a meal that I'm going to drink in like a short amount of time. That gives me no benefit. For me, there's certain trade-offs. That's not one of them. Then it's like beers, ales, and stuff like that. Wine is somewhere in the middle. And then it's like gin, spirits and stuff like that, and then the leanest one is like tequila. But generally, spirits are the best way to go if you want to keep it low cal, right? Another quick concept is the whole meal timing, right? What's the deal? Should I fast? Someone's going to ask me about intermittent fasting. I always get at least 2 questions on it in the Q&A every single masterclass. Intermittent fasting gives you no extra benefits to what a conventional normal calorie deficit does, unless, well, if everything is equated. So if you have the same amount of calories, protein, and fiber, right, you get no extra benefits in terms of like fat loss, right? The one drawback or a couple of drawbacks of fasting is that you will struggle to hit your protein target by just having 1 or 2 meals per day or shoveling in at once. It can be like a hard thing to stick to, right? So that's kind of like the main drawbacks. And if you really want it to be picky, fasting as a tool for like building and retaining muscle, it's usually better to have like a more conventional way of eating. So that's why I always recommend 3 meals plus per day. So that's what I'd say there. And aim for consistency. Don't aim for, the most irregular eating pattern. Your body loves consistency, like sleep, okay? When you go to bed at the same time, you feel better. When you eat at the same time, you are less hungry, okay? So try to give yourself, that consistency. And in terms of like timing, when it comes to post workouts and workouts, eating 2 to 3 hours within a workout is usually like the most ideal thing. And then as long as you eat something like 2 to 3 hours after your workout, you're fine. You don't need to like eat at a maximum particular time. It's what you do over the course of a day, more importantly over a week, which is most important. Remember, your body is using fuel from like the last 48, 24 hours. So that steak and rice that you ate yesterday, that's what it's using first. What counts when it comes to calories, right? Sauces, oils, and condiments, the big one, right? Everyone forgets that when you go out. I do that, right? I forget to put that into my FitnessPal sometimes, or my app. So this is the big one always. sounds really depressing to say, but you order a steak, the steak is like 300, 400 calories. The sauce next to it is 400 calories. You're like, what? So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Vegetables and fruits, you should absolutely have as many fruits and vegetables as you can, but if someone tells you that to not track them, you can easily be leaving like 400 calories easily per day on the table that you're not accounting for. So track them, be aware of them, but eat as much of them as you possibly can. Sometimes supplements have calories in them that you might not realize, stuff like fish oils, vitamins. Someone last month was telling me that they're having collagen tablets, and turns out they were like, oh my god, I was just having it because I just didn't think it had any calories in it. I thought collagen was good, and I'm like, yeah, fine, but it's that was setting her back at 80 calories, and she added in the fish oils, and she's like, oh, that's like 150 calories a day, and then she's like, oh, that's 1,000 calories a week. It adds up, right? And all healthy foods, so anything that's like avocado, salmon, olive oil, all that kind of stuff, by all means include it. It's good for you, just be aware of it. All right, that's all things calories. Protein, this is the one thing that people struggle with the most, I would say, more than like reaching their calorie target, because they need meals that they find it hard to get to that protein target, especially when they're in a deficit, to hit that number, right? So best sources are going to be meat, eggs, fish, dairy, lean beef, all of that good stuff when it comes to protein, all right? And from here on, you're going to hear a lot of interesting numbers that I'm going to throw at you that are going to be very useful. So you should write all of these down with regards to your steps, your fiber, your protein, lots of cool new numbers that I'm going to show you. If you don't know how much protein you should be having, right? A good rule of thumb is around about 1 gram per pound of target body weight, or around 1.6 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. And I'm going to tell you the fast track number and secret for nearly everyone in this room, okay? The daily totals for nearly everyone in here that they need to optimize their protein is somewhere between 100 to 150 grams. If you are hitting that number every single day, you're good. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it, right? If you want to find out your number, I can do that for you. My app can do that for you. That you're good, right? That's for most women. For most guys, that usually increases a little bit more because they are usually bigger, they weigh more, they have a bit more muscle mass. So for guys, any guys in here, it's about 130 to like 180 grams per protein per day. Okay. So yeah, so if someone is here says in the chat, 120 grams protein for me, perfect. Sounds about right. So that is pretty much all you need to do. If you go over those numbers, what happens? Nothing. It helps you a little bit more with hunger, because protein is the most satiating macronutrient. I guarantee if anyone has like transitioned and been more conscious of going into a higher protein diet in here, they will tell you, oh, do you know what? When I increased my protein, I found it much easier to manage my hunger. Nearly always across the board. And as a general rule, this is why I say, like, have 3 meals or more per day, right? Try to get to 30 grams of protein in total per meal, right? And then you're going to be good. Don't worry if you hit 80, 90 some days. It's not binary, okay? The closer you get to that 100 number, 120 number, you're good. But you can see that, like, it's not realistic. If you have 1 or 2 meals per day and you skip breakfast, right, and you go out for lunch, are you really, in all honesty, going to have 2 packs of chicken for your lunch? Probably not. That's why spreading it out gives you more opportunities to put in protein in the day. So some examples: chicken, beef, oily fish, and tuna is like one of the best go-tos that you can have. So easy, lasts forever. Eggs and dairy, amazing sources of protein. So if you're veggie, some of my days, most of in the week, a lot of them are just vegetarian days. I don't, not because I do it by intention, but I just sometimes just have Greek yogurt. I'll just have like an egg-based lunch with like a wrap or some boiled eggs or whatever. And sometimes my days end up being like that, and it's totally fine. You're not losing out if you're vegetarian or even vegan. Just focus on the number. And if you are vegan, remember, you get protein from lentils, legumes, all of that kind of stuff. They're not as typically. You have to be a lot more intentional if you're vegan in particular. because the protein here is not the same, if I can say it, like per 100 grams, like chicken, beef, etc. So you have to be a bit more selective, but that's essentially what we're looking for. The other benefit of protein that not a lot of people realize is the more protein you have, the more calories you burn for free every single day, right? So I'm going to show you the example here, because you have protein, carbs, or fats, okay? When you intake calories from fats, nearly all of that it goes 100 calories in, your body basically digests it really, really easily, okay? And you're left with nearly 100% of the calories. Carbohydrates is around about 90%. So let's say you had 100 calories of carbohydrates from carbs or fruit or something. It takes your body about 10% of the energy to kind of break it down. But with protein, your body has to work a lot harder to break it down. So actually, if you had 100 calories, you'd actually only be left with, if I can say, 75 or 80 calories. And over the course of a day, in a week, in a month, when you do that consistently, it adds up. So in this example here, if you've got someone who's having 50 grams of protein, which will be a lot of people in this room, and you have someone who's then having 150 grams of protein, and they increase their protein by a significant amount because they start tracking, that, without changing anything at all, right, gives you a monthly impact of nearly 3,000 extra calories just by changing your protein. Forget about the steps, forget about the workouts, forget about the calories, right? Which is a pound of fat that you would lose every month for free. That's without changing anything. So that's where like protein is really impactful. But obviously it helps with your hunger. So really, really important when it comes to protein. And I'm sure this probably relates to a lot of you, but one egg is not a high protein meal. This thing on the left, right, is healthy. It's good for you. It kind of looks like my breakfast, but my breakfast also kind of looks a bit more like this, 3 or 4 eggs, right? You don't have to have 3 or 4 eggs, right? But that meal on the left is giving you something like 10 grams of protein, right? We want to aim for like 30. So you balance out with like egg whites and all that kind of stuff. So someone's asking about protein powders. We'll chat about protein powders. Very, very useful tool that you should use. I use it. I had a protein smoothie actually just before this, something very quick and versatile. But ultimately, just you need to be intentional with your eating. I can't stress that enough with everything that you do. Okay, it's not just about, oh, these foods are healthy, or oh, this has protein in it, right? It's about how much of the protein you need to get the right dose. Okay, that's essentially what I'm telling you. And someone here is going to tell me about eggs. Are they bad for your cholesterol? Are they going to do bad things to you? Short answer is absolutely not. Having 3 or 4 eggs a day is going to be fine. It's within the context of the day as a whole, and they don't even have like that much saturated fat in terms of, there's lots of different like healthy fats and stuff in there. Eggs are good for you people, right? So that's all things protein. Now, when it comes to fiber, very underrated, very important. This is the one that people don't even really pay attention to or haven't always heard a lot about, right? That's where you see me talking about it a lot. Very important. I'll tell you this as well. The more fiber that you have in your diet, it will basically scale linearly, with how long you live, right? The more fiber someone has, the longer they live, the better they feel, all of these good things, right? It stops and helps prevent lots of things like cancers, diseases, all of this sort of stuff. So please try to get as much fiber as you can. It is not a coincidence that more fiber is more fruit, it's more veg, it's more whole foods, it's more good stuff, right? So yeah, it's very, very important. But ultimately, it's another component that keeps you full, right? It gives you steady energy, right? Not like processed foods. When you have a chocolate bar, it has 0 fiber in it. You are reaching out for the next chocolate within the next 5 seconds, right? High fiber foods take you longer to eat. They're just, that's why I can't stress to you in my app, right? I'm probably one of the only people that does this, but I realize, having coach people for so long, like protein and fiber are the most important meaningful numbers. That's why you've got to track them. Okay. It stops the afternoon energy crashes and cravings, and after 40, again, like your body is changing, so fiber helps with make your body work better. It's really good for your gut health. You need that. Now you're going to say to me, Adam, how much do I need? Well, most of you in here right now are getting in half, if not more, right? half or less, should I say, of your daily fiber needs. Okay. Most of you are getting in somewhere between 10 to 16, 10 to 15 grams a day. You need to be getting in about 20 to 30 grams. And I'm going to show you the best foods to actually get that as well. Okay. And if you want to actually find out the real number for you, for every 1,000 calories that you eat, aim for 14 grams of fiber. Bit of a specific number, but if you do that, that will help you a lot, right? And it's quite an achievable number, right? So 20 to 30 grams daily. For guys, again, usually I bump that up by about 5 grams. My days usually look like something like 25 to 40 grams, just depending on what I eat. But honestly, somewhere between 25 and 30 most days. It's as simple as adding fruit or veg. But just like protein, let me say this, right? You really need to be intentional with your foods, which I'll show you in a moment, okay? But more fruit and veg. And by the way, the foods that have the most fiber are actually unbelievably basic, right? You don't need magical special foods, right? So we would all agree that the food on the left is a high fiber, is a healthy food, right? But that is not giving you nearly any fiber. A couple of lettuce leaves and foods that contain high volume and a lot of water are not bad for you, but they're not getting you to where you need to be, right, in terms of fiber. So you need to include foods like chia seeds, include more foods like broccoli and raspberries. These are like just some food groups. And this will help you massively with your actual numbers. And when you start to actually just get that number up on your fiber and your protein, you'll realize how much easier everything is to stick to, and your hunger starts to go away, your palate starts to change, lots of good things happen. And because I'm a good guy, and like I said, I don't hold anything back, nothing, they say nothing's free in life apart from when you join my masterclasses and I give you all the answers to everything, and I've done all the research for you and put it into graphs and nice tables for you. But here's some examples of foods and fruits in each category that you should be aiming more to eat more of, okay? So any berries are really good. In particular, raspberries, blackberries, right? Look at the other foods are the highest on the list for the calories per, so the amount of fiber that you get per 100 calories, right? Raspberries, 12 grams, right? That's like half of your daily needs of like one punnet, right? That you get from Tesco, or if you're from US, don't know, Costco, Walmart, wherever you shop. But pears and apples, amazing. It's not more complicated than that. One thing that I'm always learning, one thing that I found out a couple of weeks ago, I love randomly passion fruit. Passion fruit is even higher than raspberries. Amazing, right? So when you educate yourself, you can sit there and be like, oh, great. I just have like a couple of passion fruits, dump that in my yogurt. Delicious. Amazing. Vegetables, broccoli, carrots, Brussels sprouts, artichokes, all of these sorts of things. These are basics. These are like near the top. Broccoli and carrots, probably the most staple thing, right? That you can eat, right? Carbohydrates, all of the whole wheat stuff, so wholemeal bread, all that kind of stuff. You know, lentils, chickpeas, amazing. If you want to really quickly add, right, and make a meal high fiber, you can do two things that I like to do that people don't always think about it like this. They go, oh, I have to like include shove these vegetables and stuff in the sandwich. And I'm like, no. You don't even have to do it like that. Like today, I had a tuna toasty with mozzarella, tuna, and I think I just put some cottage cheese in there. And I just ate that on white bread. And I had it with raspberries. That's it. It's about the meal as a whole, right? So you need to think like that. It's nothing is like completely binary. And yeah, so it's lentils and chickpeas, amazing thing to just like add to salads, all that kind of stuff. You see me use that a lot. Really good. Also has protein. And then nuts and seeds, like chia seeds. Someone's asking me, do you need to soak them? You don't have to soak them. You can just eat them as a chia seed pudding, like my recipes, or you can just put them in your yogurt or put them into smoothies. You absolutely can do that, right? Contain loads of fiber, loads of goodness. That's why chia seeds work so well. And chia seeds are, the amazing thing is you can make so many amazing recipes out of them. That's why they're amazing. So try to include more of these foods. Watch how much better you feel and how easier it all gets. Now, food volume, I was bashing the salad earlier. However, right, you want to include as much food volume as well. So this is like the bonus added extra that I would say, okay? because stuff like spinach, stuff like cucumber, stuff like tomatoes, these are like high volume, low calorie foods, and they're typically foods that also contain like a lot of water in them. That's why they are a bit higher in volume, and you need to eat more of them to get the same benefits. But that's why you want to combine them and use them as fillers. And they also make it it takes you longer to eat your foods, but you get these in fruit and vegetables and salads, and they ultimately are really good, right? So hopefully you can see, who knew, right? You need to have more real whole foods, fruit, vegetables, and all of these things are good for you. But in order to get like the benefits that you're looking for with your fat loss and to help with your hunger and stuff, you need to include more of these sorts of things, right? And just some examples that I use with my week to week. These are like some foods that are my go-to, that pretty much tick all the boxes that you can use next week or starting tonight if you want, right? Greek yogurt, the most friendly and versatile food that you can have, right? Greek yogurt, you put some berries on that, dump some chia seeds in there, that's it, bosh. 1 to 2 minutes, you're done, right? Doesn't take any time to cook. You can even add protein powder to bump it up even more, and you can get a little bowl that has like 300 calories for about 40, 50 grams of protein. So amazing. This is a staple, has been for all of my life, works really well, very healthy for you. Like I said to you, some go-to things that I have is like I love like tuna melts and stuff. I don't use it in the air fryer. I like cook them on like the frying pan. It's 3 minutes or something each side and cover it, and then I just have like fruit and veg around this, right? Really good things that you can have. Sandwiches, very, very underrated. Soups, definitely in the UK, it's not soup season, I can tell you that. It is like, give me 3 sorbets, an ice cream, and pour a bucket of water over my head kind of weather season. Absolutely roasted in the UK this week. But soups are amazing. You can throw stuff in there that you don't even like. So when you go, I don't like spinach, I don't like this, right? You can just toss it all in there, right? And you can never taste it. You can just drown out the flavor with like delicious stocks and flavors and stuff. So the ones that are in my ebooks and on my page work really well, and they freeze amazingly. So I'm just giving you some ideas off the top of my head, right? As we're doing it, I love slow cook stuff. Yes, they take longer, but they taste amazing, right? And they're so versatile. Like I make like a joint of beef, and then I just dump that into anything. I put it in a container at home, and then I just add it to salads, I add it to wraps, I add it to all of this sort of stuff, right? And like I said, it takes long, but the preparation is mindless. You see me in my videos, I literally dump it, a piece of meat, season it, put it in the oven, 3 hours later, done, easy. I just go and do some work, go and run some errands, and usually like chicken, lamb, beef, all that sort of stuff works amazing. And you can also make your own granola, homemade protein bars, energy bars, works really good. I keep these ones. I've got this really good recipe that I've been using for like 15 years. And I just put it in the freezer. And I literally eat it, and it takes like 30 seconds, a minute to melt. And you can just start like eating it. If someone goes, oh, you put your protein bars in the freezer. Yeah, it's fine. Loads of goodness, much better than the ones you get in the store, and you can manipulate the ingredients, and much, much cheaper. So that's pretty much that. Now, eating out. So I'm going to now sort of start to round off a little bit of that about the food, and I'm going to give you some really cool like calorie graphs and show you how to calculate your own calories. So make sure that you're watching the next bit. The eating out bit is the hard bit, right? Because you just don't know what to eat. You're like, I'm going off plan. It's stressful. I'm being good all week, and then a weekend can definitely throw out like a week's worth of like good progress, right? But definitely go into it with like an 80-20 approach. So as long as you're the trade-off is that you can go out and you can have a good awareness of food, and I coach people inside my coaching. I'll show you how to do this in a bit of a deeper and detailed level. People send me menus, I tell them what to eat, all this sort of stuff, right? But when you go out, you can, as long as you're having a day and you're not going wildly out of control and you're not absolutely perfect, absolutely fine. So if you have a day where you like go over your maintenance calories or you're at maintenance, absolutely fine. Make sure that you just don't completely blow it. And even then, don't worry if you do. We're going to talk about the mindset stuff in a moment. But the days when you have the control, Monday to Friday, you have to nail it. Okay, you really do. That's the trade-off. You have to do something, right? Nothing is free. So you have to meal prep, you have to do all that sort of stuff, it works, right? You don't have to be in a calorie deficit every meal, every single day of the week. And some social event strategies that I can tell you is like, have a look at the menu before you go out. When you start to track calories, if you haven't done before, even if you've tracked before, I guarantee if you're actually consistent with it, you'll be like, I didn't realize that sorbets are really good. I didn't realize that ice cream's actually not that bad and they're not that calorific. And you can use this to your advantage. You know, you pick stuff that on the menu that is leaner and lower calorie, and you know, you can approximate like that the average fries wherever you go out is about 500 calories. The average fillet steak is about 300, 350. The average sirloin or ribeye might be like a little bit more. The average pizza is 1,000, right? And when you start to educate yourself with that level of awareness, use it as a tool, right? And eating on the go, what I'd say there is if you're like in a shop and you're like, I'm just going to grab a sandwich, grab and go stuff, if you can pick something that has at least like 30 grams of protein for every 400 to 500 calories, I think you're doing well, right? Because let's be honest, we all live in the real world. You're at an airport sometimes, you're at this the gas station, and it's fine, right? Don't worry about it. It happens to me all the time. And as you will see in a moment, weekly calories are king, okay? It does not matter, right? If you go over 3 days of the week and you went over your calories, if the other 4 you were in your deficit and you're in a deficit, you've lost fat that week. And I'll show you visually what that looks like in just a moment, right? Anna's a really good example of actually what tying all of this nutrition looks like as well. Amazing results. And she actually just did just the nutrition side of things. And when she started with me, she was like, oh, I keep starting over every Monday. I've got this stubborn belly fat. I just can't get rid of it. Really annoying. I've got no balance with my food. I've got a bad relationship with food. But after actually like fixing this and raising her awareness, she's like, actually, it's not as complicated, anywhere near as complicated as I realized, right? And afterwards, she's obviously in a lot more control and it's just a lot more effortless. And ultimately, she can go to the beach and wear clothes that she couldn't do before, and it just allowed her to look and feel her best, right? Now, the fun part, how do you calculate the calories and what does that look like on a weekly basis for each of you in this room? Okay, you need to know your numbers. Okay, so this looks really complicated. What is that equation that you're putting on your screen, Adam, right? But you need to find out what your BMR is. 48 hours after this masterclass, I will send you my calorie calculator. The one in my app is a little bit more accurate because I've dissected everything like one by one based on what your individual inputs are. But they're both going to give you a really good starting point. But let's say for the average person here, your BMR, which is how many calories you burn at rest doing absolutely nothing. For nearly everyone in this room, if you're a female, it's going to be somewhere between most people 12 to about 1800. Most people, right? If you're out of the other end of the extreme, you're very light, or you weigh a lot more, maybe. And for most guys, the average is probably somewhere between 1400 to like 2100, right? Because they usually have more muscle, all that kind of stuff. You then have to add in the thermic effect of food, how many steps you burn. I'm going to give you the most simple equation that you've probably never heard of in terms of how to calculate the calorie burn from your steps, right? That you've probably never seen before in a minute. It works every time. And then your workouts. And basically, once you add these 4 numbers together, and I'll show you what that looks like, you end up with your maintenance calories. And after you get to your maintenance calories, okay, you then, I would deduct 20 to 25% off of that so that you know exactly you're in a good place for like starting to lose weight, okay? So this is a really good example of what that looks like. And you have to be far enough away from that maintenance, okay? If you go and do like 100 calorie deficit, someone asked me what's the thermic effect of food. Thermic effect of food is the, so when you eat your food, right, it costs your body energy to break down all of that food. Okay, so usually that's about 10%, usually, okay? It's approximately 10%, right? You can increase that by having more protein. Like I said, you can manipulate the numbers with like some good decisions. But if you're 100 calorie deficit, you're far too close to your maintenance to be seeing results. You will go over that because whatever calorie targets I give anyone, including myself, I always go over by like 100. So you have to be far enough away. You have to give yourself a bit of a buffer. 500 is the sweet spot for most people. Let me get that straight. It's for most people. There is obviously there's a case-by-case basis. If your calories are really high or you've got different goals, the more healthy foods that you can eat, you can go a bit more aggressive than that, fine. But 500 is a loose number for guys and girls. To see weekly change that is manageable and easy to stick to every week. That's what people want. They want to see consistent progress weekly that doesn't break them mentally. That's what that number is. 1,000 calorie deficit, which kind of puts you in that 1,000 calorie zone I don't want people to go below, is too much because it's far too aggressive. Even if it works for a week or two, you can't keep it up, right? And if you can't keep it up, you reset, you yo-yo, you go back to zero. All right. All right, here's a cool number for you. Find your steps. I bet you never heard this one before, right? If you want to find, go back one. If you want to find out how many calories you burn from your steps, right? You take your body weight in kilos, you multiply it by 5.7. Whether you're a girl or a boy, forget about it, right? Just multiply it by 5.7. Body weight is the most important factor when it comes to calorie burn in steps. If you're in pounds, don't worry, I've got you. You multiply it by 2.6. That's it. Wow, what an easy calculation, right? For most of you here, it's about 400. Right, for every 400, for every 10,000 steps that you do, if you're 70 kilos approximately, it's about 400 calories, right? That's approximately what it is, right? So let's say you are 100 kilos or 220 pounds, you are obviously going to burn more calories doing nothing and from your steps. That's why it's a little bit easier to lose weight, like the more you have to lose, right? So just a bit of a thing there. So that is a mindlessly easy equation that works every time. Guarantee no one's ever told you that online. And also, when it comes to workouts, I am the first to tell my mum to do her workouts, right? However, on average, right, let's say for every workout that you do, it only helps you burn an extra 40 calories a day when you average it over a week. That's why you can't rely on doing more workouts to burn more calories, right? So what I mean by that is, let's say you do 3 circuit workouts that are approximately 250 calories of burn, and they're 3 30-minute workouts. Nice and efficient, okay? When you actually work that out, it's only about 120 calories a day. Because if you add 250 calories 3 times, you get 750. You have to then divide that by 7. The number is about 130 calories, 120 calories, right? But a good rule of thumb is that for any generic class or workout that you do, for most people here, it's like simple, effective 30-minute workouts, right? For every one of those workouts that you do every day over the course of a week, it's probably contributing about 40 to 50 calories a day, right? So you don't want to work your workout more to a bigger deficit. Don't do it that way. It's not the smart way. Here's a cool thing, and no one's seen this before because I've put these as a brand new like graph and content that I've put in. Let me show you what your calories can look like in reality. Okay, you can, let's just say your calories are, to maintain your weight is 2,000 calories. Okay, you can then have a deficit of 1,500 calories. You can do 1,500 calories every single day like this. You can go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Fine, great. You will see, half a kilo of weight loss every single week. The other thing that you can do is, if you stagger it, it's absolutely fine, because it's the average that is the most important. Okay, so you can go 1,300 one day, 1,700 one day. It's fine. You don't have to be perfect. That hopefully eliminates a little bit of the stress of like, oh, I went over my calories this day, and I feel like I'm clawing it back. Don't worry about it. Okay. And here's another cool example, right? Do you know what I say to people when they're like, what do I do when I go out on the weekends, right? Don't worry about it if your weekends look like this. You're good Monday to Friday, and then your calories go back up to maintenance on these 2 days. Okay, it's fine. Let's say your average calories, instead of being 1,500 like I'm showing you here, they're like 1,650. Cool. The trade-off is that you accept that it's a slightly slower rate of change, if that's okay with you. But at least you can see that you're making progress every week. Like I said, you'll be heavier on the scale on these 2 days, and it will fool you in your mind. You'll wake up, because even if you're in a deficit this day, you'll realize that when you wake up on Monday, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm like 3 kilos heavier. It's just water weight, it's just carbs, it's extra salt, it's the type of foods that you eat. And then it goes straight back down. But when you measure this stuff over the course of 3-4 weeks, like as a rolling average, you'll realize, my weight is going down. Here's another thing that you can do, is another scenario. You have one day where you completely blow over your maintenance, right? You go, oh my God, 2,500 calories, right? If the next day you kind of come down a little bit and you have one blowout day, as long as that average is in a deficit and it's below that 2,000 calorie mark, let's use that as an example, works really well, okay? So like I said, it's definitely make sure that you're nailing like most days, but don't worry about 1 or 2 days. It's all about the average. Hopefully that visualization helps you there, right? And just some signs that you're actually in like a good deficit. Okay, some other cool numbers that I'm going to throw at you here. You're in a deficit, you've got your calories. Great, Adam's told me all this amazing information. Signs that things are going well are the energy in your workouts are really good. Okay, your sleep is good. We can touch on sleep in Q&As, all that sort of stuff, right? Your hunger is not overwhelming. I can't stress this enough. Every bullet point gets more and more important. Your hunger should not be overwhelming. However, it is totally fine when you're in a deficit, especially for a sustained period of time, that you go into pockets of hunger. It's completely normal. We're these things called human beings, right? So don't worry about it. But generally, what I want you all to be aiming for once you get to that deficit is you're aiming for about 0.5% to 1% of your body weight per week to lose. Okay, if you're losing that, you're doing great. So let's say you are 200 pounds and you lose between 1 to 2 pounds a week. That's a really sustainable rate of change that someone can maintain for like 3, 4, 5, 6 months on average, right? You can increase the deficit if you want to, although I wouldn't recommend it. But generally speaking, the more you eat out, the harder it's going to be. The more fast foods that you eat and the less whole foods, the harder it's going to be to maintain a deficit. But you can probably maintain a slightly more aggressive deficit, like maybe 600, maybe 700 if you eat clean all the time, right? But I'm not necessarily recommending that because you need to have balance in life. And again, this is what Jenny looks like, a really good example of, just getting toned with fixing up her nutrition, her protein, and having that mindset of like going out, right? And it's okay, it's completely fine, right? And looking at her progress long term, right? And ultimately she was able to change her waistline, which is what most of the girls want that I coach. They're like, I want to feel less I want to feel, stronger, more confident in myself. Apply all of these and you can get this, okay? And the last thing I'll touch on before I hand it over to all of you lovely people for Q&As and whatnot is mindset, because I can show you all of these principles. You can be like, wow, I've learned lots of cool things here. You need to be able to tie it together, okay? So, let me go back one stage. This is where most diets fail, right? They give you a sheet, or someone will give you a PDF or some sorts, and they'll be like, hey, just do this, but you need to have the mindset, right? This is how I do hard things in my life. I make sure that every week I do something that I don't want to do necessarily, whether it's like a workout, sometimes hitting my steps when I've had a long day, eating foods when I don't necessarily feel like it, because it makes all the other small stuff easier. That's why half of the reason that I actually work out. So you need to plan for success. You need to know what your why is, first of all. And this is like a deeper question, but it's really important. You can't be doing healthy eating because your friend, Susie, Sarah, or Sandra, right, is doing it and you're hopping on the bandwagon with them. No, it's got to be more important than that. It's like, I want to change the way that I feel. I want to be able to do stuff that I can't do. I want to live longer. I want to have like no health complications, whatever that reason is for you. Spend more time with the grandkids and your kids and be able to be more mobile. Okay, really important. That why is, okay. And you need consistency and discipline, right? Ultimately, you need to trade something, accept that you're going to trade something off now for something in the future, right? That's what any kind of investment is. So if you invest in yourself now, you're like, okay, cool, I have to meal prep, I have to eat healthy foods, but do you know what you get out of it? You get to feel better, you get to live longer, you get to move better. And when everyone else is like falling apart, right? Even if you feel like you're falling apart now, right? If you do all the principles that I've told you about today of nutrition and workouts, which, beyond the time to cover today, you can make like a real meaningful impact. And the big one that is my personal one, okay, is you need to know and you need to accept like how to overcome challenges. So what I mean by that is that, do you know what part of the plan is? Part of the plan is that you go off track. Part of the plan is that you're going to fail, is it's going to be hard. You never go into a plan like thinking that, okay, great, I'm going to make all these foods, it's going to be perfect, I'm going to hit my protein and calories every single day. Whenever I've done, whenever I'm dieting or in a calorie deficit, whenever I treat the same principles as I do in my business, I go into every week going, okay, right, I'm going to aim to film X amount of videos and get this out, but you know what, it's not going to be easy. I'm probably going to be time strapped. I'm going to be this and that. Remove the excuses out of there. Just get rid of the excuses, right? And the more that you can make it, visualize it harder in your mind, the easier it is to actually manage when you get there. Because when you go, okay, right, I'm going to be hungry at this time or at lunch times, or I've got this social event, you've planned for it, right? So you don't plan for a perfect week. Never plan for it to go perfectly, because it never is. And just to kind of talk about like weight loss and plateaus, this is like a little bit about what my weight looked like for the best part of 3-4 weeks, right? This is a really good example a little while back. And plateaus are gonna happen, okay? But you can see that like for 2-3 weeks here, right, I've basically been the same weight, even though I've been in a deficit. But do you know what happens when you get to plateaus and you're consistent with everything? Let's say you've been losing consistently week on week on week, and you just hit this plateau, like, I just can't break 180 pounds or 80 kilos, 70 kilos, 60 kilos, whatever that is, right? Nearly always you get a bigger drop, because it's the average of what is happening, right? So just, you have to trust the process, right? And like I said, I would never recommend weighing yourself like Monday to Monday. I'd recommend weighing yourself as many times as possible in the week to give you a better average, right? You do that, you'll start to, you'll get rid of that feeling on the scale of like, oh, I've gone up one day, I've gone down one day. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen. If you do what you need to do in terms of the underlying actions, you're going to be good, right? And this is what this is really important as well. When you look at things on a daily basis, you can be like, okay, cool, things are moving in the right direction. But when you're consistent, like the people that I work with, I've got a lot of my clients who are with me, they've been with me for years, right? And we track their progress over the course of like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, right? You can see this thing on the left is just, it looks like there's a lot going on. It's complicated. When you look at it, you know, in totality, you're like, wow. When you zoom out, you can really see the progress, right? So the longer you do it, the easier it gets, and the less meaningful every off day, off week that you're off plan and nothing is perfect becomes, right? So really, really important. And that's just, you know, what that looks like on an even bigger scale, right? Because obviously I'm a crazy person. I track my weight over many, many years because I like numbers. But that's just to show you. I just wanted to show you that as well. And the last thing, as I'm not sure if anyone's seen the emotional cycle change, but this is something that you can apply to any endeavor, right? You can apply it to business, you can apply it to fitness, you can apply it to weight loss, workouts, diets, all this sort of stuff. And I guarantee this will relate to a lot of you, okay? Because whenever we try something new, we usually go through like 5 stages. Stage 1 is something called uninformed optimism. And this is like where everything's a novelty. You start something new, you're like, got this new diet, I'm going to do this marathon training, I've got a new personal trainer, and you start this and you're like, you know, you're buzzing to get started. Everyone starts here nearly always, right? Whether it's a business idea or your friends got you into a marathon, whatever. And the next one is stage 2, where you get this thing called informed pessimism, where you go, oh, actually, this thing's quite a bit harder to stick to than I realized. And then that's where, like, when you don't have the right mindset, things start to get more challenging. Like, oh my God, I've got to do this low carb thing, but oh my God, I can't eat out. I can't eat with my family. I've got to eat on a separate plate, right? Or you're, you know, I get a lot of people ask me about like posting in business and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, Adam, I didn't realize that you've got to like post and do emails and you've got to actually help people and you've got to do something. I'm like, yeah, you've got to do that stuff, right? And unfortunately, this is the most depressing place on earth, it sounds like, right? But stage 3 is the valley of despair. And basically what happens there is, this is where 90% of people who start a new endeavor always quit. It is the reality, right? And what they do is they go, no, sod this, it's too hard, I'm not doing this anymore. And they go all the way back to stage one after 2 or 3 months when the new shiny thing comes on. Oh, someone on my morning breakfast show told me that I should try these, or I should, try this new diet. And then so the cycle goes on again and again. And unfortunately, the more times that you go through stage 1, 2, 3, repeat, stage 1, 2, 3, repeat, the more that you embed failure into like your rituals, right? However, for 10% of us, we can get to stage 4. How do you get past stage? I don't want to be in the valley of despair. That sounds like a real low point in life, doesn't it? Let's go on something more positive. Well, if you put into practice the principles that I've told you today, right? But then you also add the mindset to it, and you have like accountability, you have a support network, you have a proper plan, you are able to, adjust things weekly, you go into it actually planning properly, then you can get out of this, right? And that's where you really start to see sustained results. So most people quit after like 2-3 weeks of doing something, if that, right? So you really need to have that little bit of perseverance and accept that. And that's where like that mindset of challenge, right? I challenge you guys to implement that into your week next week. And you can really, like I said, that's how you're successful long term. And stage 5 is ultimately where you don't even think about it anymore. It's like part of your lifestyle. You don't think about tracking your protein, your calories, and all that sort of stuff. You're like, no, I just know that Greek yogurt is doing me good. Have the same thing. You have like 4 or 5 meals on rotation. You just do your 10,000 steps. You don't think about it. It doesn't become a chore, and you actually learn to enjoy it. And that's where people start to go to you. Oh, how did you get that result? That's really cool. Can you show me how to do that? And that's ultimately what like success and fulfillment is. So that's how to basically break the cycle, right? And hopefully that is relatable. And just the last bits of like that mindset shift is, like I said, expect challenges. You have to build them into your plan. I will literally tell my clients, like, anyone's been on a one-on-one call with me, I'll be like, yeah, like, this is what we're going to do. I'm optimistic for you, but, right, you need to go into that first week going, it's going to be a bit overwhelming. Tracking is going to be a bit hard. You might hate me. You might send me a message, whatever, right? So build that in. Look at wins weekly rather than daily perfection. Really important, right? It's what you're doing over weekly, more important monthly, that matters most. And lifestyle change is not a quick fix. If it took you 10 years, 5 years to put on that weight, it is not going to come off in 2 weeks, okay? You need 3 months, 6 months. It might take you a bit longer, so just accept that. That's fine, right? You can't undo a lifetime of bad choices, the reality, and with some sort of quick fix, it doesn't exist, right? And practical mental strategies, like I said, a bad day doesn't equal a bad week, okay? It's absolutely fine, right? You go off plan. Do you know what one meal is? If you go off plan one meal, it's 4.5% of your week. So you're telling me you're going to be good 95% of the time, and you're going to assume that like that one meal's put you off. Don't worry about it. One whole day is only like 14% of your week, right? So, like I said, don't think broadly. Don't narrow it down. And there are so many other victories that you can look at, like non-scale victories, like energy. How are you feeling? How's your sleep? Do you feel better in your clothes? Is your waistline going down? Do you have more energy? Do you feel more confident? Do you have better habits? There's so many other metrics rather than just a number on a scale. It's not just that, okay? There's so much more to it. And make sure that you have social support systems around you, whether that is me, whether that is someone that you trust for advice, or your friends. Share the journey with someone, okay? It's much better and more successful doing it as a team, right, rather than doing it alone, right? Because it's not fun doing it alone. And Jemima is a really good example of what like real long-term success looks like. Same location, completely different person. She's actually down now, I think it's like much more than this, I think like 60 pounds or something now. But yeah, before she started, she was a very panicky person, and she won't mind me saying that about food. She's like, can I have this? Can I not have that? I'm like, don't worry about it. We look at it in a broad picture. We put the plan in place. We keep you accountable. And then after putting all of these things in place, obviously gets 10 times glowing compliments going, oh my God, you look amazing, right? And she obviously feels amazing for it as well. So that is really the goal of all of this. So yeah. And just integrating it into the real world. Pretty much the last slide before I open it up to Q&As and app stuff and whatever is if you're building this out as a 90-day program, which is the way that I like to do things, right, is you build a foundation in the first 1 to 2 weeks. Weeks 3 to 6, you're just constantly refining, making small adjustments every week. And then week 7 is when you really start to see change. Okay. So 90 days is always like mentally not too long to stick to, but more than long enough where you can get amazing results. And then after like week 11 and 12, you can really start to integrate that and feel that in your lifestyle, right? If you can do something for that long, like you can honestly do it for life. You really can. So that's how I like people to sort of think about things in the mindset sort of things, right? And yeah, obviously I've got hundreds, I have actually got thousands now of client transformations and testimonials. I don't get enough of them because I don't ask, but I've got so many. But ultimately the goal is let's help as many people as we can. The one thing I will leave you with is you can do all of these 5 steps and still fail, because if you don't have a plan that is ultimately personalized and you don't have the right feedback and you don't make the right adjustments every week and you have no accountability is the main thing. I totally get that people come into me and work with me in my coaching because they want someone to keep them accountable, and they want to do it together, not alone. It's really important. I have coaches for my business and all that kind of stuff as well. I need that. So, what you do need is something that you can personalize. It's personalized to you, something that you can make weekly feedback and adjustments on, right? That is beyond the scope of everything to putting into this call. And ultimately you need somewhere or something that you can get your questions answered, that you have that support, because you're gonna come to challenges. Ultimately, it is the way that it is. So what I will leave you with, for anyone who does want to get in on coaching, because someone is going to ask me about that and the app and stuff, you can keep doing what you're doing, which obviously you're not going to do because you've been on this masterclass this long. You've got this far. You can start doing all the things that I've taught you in here, absolutely, and you can hope that you stay on the course. Or for anyone that does want to work with me and my very small team of 2 people, I only work with a handful of people every month. You can do it with me, which I always think is a really good, proven way, and I'll just show you how that works before I open it up to Q&A. So for anyone who does genuinely want to work with me, this is actually the best offer you'll ever get, because you're actually going to get free access to the app for anyone who actually jumps on into the coaching with me. But if you're someone who genuinely wants to lose like 5 to 25 pounds, doesn't matter what time zone you're in, half my clients are in the US, half of them in the UK, and the other part are like in Australia and Europe. Or even if you just want to tone up and you want to lose, I just want to tone up, I just got like that last 5-10 pounds to lose. You're someone who wants to skyrocket your confidence and you want to look and feel your best in the next 90 days, but ultimately really like beyond that, then essentially you can actually work with me. For anyone who's on this masterclass, you basically get first dibs, and essentially my 90-day program, I'll just show you exactly what's inside. I'll just get straight to the point. What you actually get inside the program if you work with me is you get something that is very one-to-one and personalized. So when you come in, you have you get a one-on-one call immediately. That's the first thing that you do, right? So that you have complete clarity for what your goals are, and we can help you get there as quickly and efficiently as possible, and give you the best plan, right? This is not like just something that we just message you and personalize and send to you as like a random PDF. We get on the call and we deep dive with you, right? So you have a call with either me, Inka, or Amy, is the only 3, and then you also get weekly personalized check-ins. So when you're coming on the one-to-one coaching, we actually review exactly what you're doing and we give you video feedback, right? And we actually give you screen grabs and stuff, and we're like, awesome, looks like you've done this, this, and this. What I want you to do next week is this, this, and this. Fix these little things up over here. The people that do these weekly check-ins, they are like the cornerstone of like our whole coaching, because we make people do them. But by that, I mean, like, we nudge you, right? You want someone to nudge you. You don't want someone to be like, yeah, let's let them drift away. We message you and go, excuse me, where's your check-in? Have you done it? And they go, oh yeah, I'm glad that you asked me. We make you do them, right? We give you follow-up calls as well. So we pencil these in, but if you need any more or you feel that you need any extra support, we always make sure that we're on hand to help you. You can just book into our calendars within reason. Don't book in like 5 days a week. No one's done that yet. But yeah, we pencil these in to make sure that we can monitor your milestones and help you out. And I'm in there personally hosting 3 live calls every week with a really small group of people. We're talking like my one-to-one stuff is like 2 to 10 people, right? All like-minded people, exactly like the people who are in this room. And I'll get all your questions answered, and I stay on there for as long as you need me to, and I'll hang out with you, give you accountability, right? And get all your questions answered. You get 3 guided workouts that are all provided to you. And if you need something that is adjusted to your level, absolutely, like, don't worry. If you're like, oh, Adam, can you help me like adjust to these exercises? I can't do this. I want it for the gym. I want something that's going to optimize like strength training, muscle building, all that kind of stuff. I can help you with that as well. It's all customized to what you need. And you also get access to my inner circle as well, to keep you engaged, which is the group. And I haven't mentioned this here because I didn't even have time to put it in, but anyone who actually joins the coaching on this round, they will be getting like full access to everything in the app, which is like all of the recipes, the meal plans, the whole tracker and everything. If you're not, then it's obviously like a separate thing. So just to let you know about that, I'm very honest and transparent. So if all of that sounds good to you and you're like, amazing, I'd love to do that with you, Adam, what's the deal? Then usually if you see it online, you'll have seen it for like $9.99 because we make it all very bespoke. It's like a one-to-one thing. You basically get it at the end of the month from the masterclasses for $4.95 and full access to the app. So essentially saving like another £100 on that as well. And we will genuinely look after you in there, right? I'm not interested in helping people who, I'm not interested in people who are not like serious about the results. If you're like, Adam, this sounds amazing, I'd love to work with you and your team and get access to you on a weekly basis, then this is honestly like a really good way to do it, right? And hopefully you can see I'm very honest and transparent with how I do things. I'm like very much like a no fluff person, but I'll also tell you if you're in the coaching, anyone joins after this, I will hold you to account, right? Hopefully that's what you want. Yes, you get the starting call as well, a couple of extra bonuses. You do get access to extra meal plans. You get access to all of the recipe ebooks as well if you haven't got them already. And I should make this a bigger feature, but you can actually message us whenever you want, like your own private thread. You're like, Adam, Amy, Inga, I'm going out to this restaurant. Can you help me? Or can you give me some ideas for whatever? Or just want to share some wins, right? You've got us on a private like thread. You can message us, right? And that's individual to you. So we've got like community stuff. We've got live calls. I put all of this extra stuff in to make sure that you can actually stay accountable, right? And actually something that is going to help you, right? We over deliver on everything because we know that not everyone is going to attend and message us every single day, but we give you the option to do it because we want to help you. We're genuinely invested in your results, and I'm sure that you'd probably see that once you're in. And yeah, and just to give you the extra peace of mind, if you're like, Adam, I don't know, I'm on the fence, right? If you come in and after 7 days you're like, this isn't for me, and you've lied to me, we'll give you your money back. Like, we're not interested in helping people who don't want to be helped. We will absolutely give you that peace of mind, so that way we can make it essentially risk-free for you. And I would say to everyone, just try it for a week. If you'll come in and you'll love it, and you'll be like, wow, I love this. Like, I love having like my own coach to help me monitor and keep me on track. You'll really enjoy it. So yeah, so on the masterclass, we release a few places on the replay. But anyone who does, if you can just message me on WhatsApp, on email or Instagram with the word interested, or the easier way is just to scan that on the call. I'll leave this up on the next page, and you'll get straight onto like the page where you can just grab a space for the coaching. Once you're in and you basically pay for it, you can split pay it as well. I don't think I mentioned that. You can split pay it, and it basically, you immediately then get the link on WhatsApp and an email, and on the next page is basically booking the first check-in call, which I recommend you do the next day. Don't book it next Monday when I'm launching the app, because I'm going to be off my feet. So yeah, so do that if you want to do that, or just message me the word interested. If you've got 1 or 2 questions, you're on the fence or something, I'll answer any questions that you've got there. But yeah, we want to genuinely help you. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And these spaces will 100% go. I promise you, they will go. I don't do any like, I never force people into doing anything, but genuinely these places will go. So that is pretty much that. And I'll just leave these links up over here before I put it up there. The one on the left is the coaching with me. You can, if you want to also get to the link, by the way, you can get to that link by like clicking the I think like there's a link on my profile on Instagram, I believe. But yeah, just message me with the word interested. I'll just go back one page because someone's asking me. Just either message me interested anywhere, not on Facebook or TikTok. I'm sorry, guys. I don't see messages on there. I don't open those. Instagram, email or WhatsApp is the best place, or just scan that and just grab yourself a place, and look forward to seeing you in there. And then here you can basically grab the recipe ebook if you haven't already. And if you want to register for the Noura app, which I haven't mentioned, basically what we'll do is for anyone who's on the early list, they'll get like a near on half price. So that will be like $19.99 for the launch price for the app. There was an annual option in there to get it for $149, but you have to be on the early list to get it. So even if you're unsure, you don't have to pay anything, but just register your interest on there, and I'll let you know when it goes live, because you get like the special discount code kind of sent to you. I promise you, like I do my best in all of my products to give you like a really good experience. Whether it's like ebooks, inside the coaching, I'm in there as well, but obviously it's more of a one-to-many. The one-to-one is like if you want someone to deep dive specifically into what you need, with be able to message me directly, and all of the good stuff that I mentioned. So that's pretty much that. And yeah, that was hopefully that was very insightful. And I'll now open up to the fun stuff, which is all of you lot asking me some questions. I'm sure that you got it. Oh, by the way, don't message interested in the in the Zoom chat, because that's another one I don't see. So let me just expand this screen. Okie doke. So actually, I've never asked before. On my screen, obviously, I can just see like 3 barcodes and a load of screens, all of your cameras. What can you guys see? Can you see my Zoom screen, or can you only see the like that page? Is that of interest? I've actually never asked on your side. Oh, you can see yourselves on there basically, yeah? You nodding? Okay, all right, great, cool. I thought so. Alrighty, so all you've got to do, if you've got any questions, if you ever wanted to ask me a question, now is the time to ask me. Whatever it is, I will stay on here and help you out. And I just need to allow you guys to unmute yourselves. But if you can use the little emoji to put yes, like Jill, whatever Jill's just done with a little emoji. I think if you press react, there's a little react button down there. You see on my screen where it says raise hand. Just do that, and then I'll just go in order of like whoever's got questions, and I'll just flip it around the room. Excellent, good. And I'll just go from like left to right. You all get your turn as long as you stay on, and I guarantee you'll probably get a load of value from what other people have to say. Now I just need to find the unmute button. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. Tools. Participants can unmute themselves. All right, Jill, go. See if it works. Should work.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, got you, Jill. How you doing?
Hi, fine, thank you. I came to your last masterclass. It was absolutely brilliant. And asked you about protein. And I have bought your ebook, which your recipes, which is fantastic. But I just wanted to ask you about I suppose it's sort of mindset, really. I'm really good all day, and I do track, but it's the evening after I've had my evening meal. I just I don't know, something just goes in my head, and then I just can't not give in to a craving, I suppose it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a mixture of two things, right? It's probably a mixture of a bit of mindset, but also a mixture of what you're doing in the day. So I'm not sure how much you've been tracking protein, fiber, calories, and consistency, because obviously you'd have to deep dive a bit more into that. But generally speaking, if you are tracking your calories and you're consistent with it, and you're having enough protein and fiber, that will help in itself with like the whole hunger thing.
Yeah.
And once you've been doing it consistently enough, you have to. There is a bit of a reality here where, like, when you are hungry, sometimes you kind of need to push through it a little bit, right? Because after a day or two or three, it gets easier after that, right? Because you again, that's where, like, kind of having that mindset of expecting that you're going to have a few challenges and all that kind of stuff. The other thing that you can do in terms of, like, other actions is just make sure that you've got as many healthy, good snacks on hand. So when you're hungry, if you've meal prepped stuff like, I don't know, like you've got yogurt bowls in the fridge, you've got fruit, you've got other stuff, like having that there is going to help, because the more actions that you take, like that's what meal prep is. You're basically just increasing the probability that you're going to be successful, right? If you've got like 6 things in the fridge and you've got Monday to Wednesday sorted, right? You're not going to wake up the next day and all of a sudden just eat a croissant. Well, you might do, right? But you're probably not, right? So it's just about, like, you know, taking the right actions, but it does get easier. Obviously, when you have, like, more accountability, this is not me saying anything about, like, join my coaching, but if you can find a friend, or you've got, like, someone like me on the other end, like in our coaching, we're like, we actually message people when we do our check-ins. We say to them, I'm going to message you on Thursday to make sure that you've done the thing that you said you're going to do. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm glad that you did that, right? And the more of those that you have, the less likely, when you've got no one there watching you, right? It is reality, right? And then once you do that consistently enough times, you prep, you take all of these actions, it does get easier. But yeah, and glad that you joined the last one and you made this one.
I really, really, really interesting and really, really informative. So yeah, really good. And I missed, sorry, I just got distracted from it. For your Noura app, could you just tell me again? I heard the annual was 149, was it? And then was there a monthly price?
Yeah, the monthly price is just going to be $19.99.
Right.
That's the launch price. And then $149 for the annual, and essentially it'll go up, like, by a significant amount after that. Like after launch week, it'll go up to, I think, like 29, and then the annual will be like 249. But I have to limit some of the spaces, because in the app, it's not just I've built. By the way, I'm building this whole app with you. All my clients, we every week I talk to them, get in our calls, and I'm like, right, how's it working? Because they're all testing it out for me now, and I'm like, they're like, put this in there, put this in there. So anything that you want me to put in there, like if you're part of the coaching stuff, I will do it. So if someone said to me, I want a screen that has a recipes where I can filter this, and someone said, I want to be able to filter by, like, ingredients, can I do that? Okay, cool. Someone said to me, on your step tracker, can you make it so that it calculates the calories that I burn from my step? Okay, cool. So we put that in, because I'm doing it all myself. I do no third party. You probably see I don't do any brand deals or anything like that, right? Everything I want to do is what is going to help you guys the most. So I'm really confident that if you get in this app, bear in mind you're also going to get, like, live calls like this. I'll do maybe, like, the plan is to do 2 of these a week. I'm stretching myself. I was going to do 1, and I'm going to try to get one of my coaches to help me there, amazing, to do another one, and we'll maybe, like, rotate, so that we'll do a couple of time zones for US and stuff, so that way you also get the interactive stuff, and I'll be in there doing, like, community stuff in terms of, like, posts, and I'll reply to you and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this will give you a good access point to me. So
okay, brilliant.
All good.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I think Elenia, is that right? I think so.
Across the next 6 days on ITV, Brazil, Japan, tomorrow 7:50 p.m.
Hi, hello, Adam. Hi there. Good, thank you. So thank you very much, because I'm sort of following you since a few weeks, and I'm actually starting to learn how to really eat and add my proteins and my fibers, which I wasn't before, and that's helping me a lot. I wanted to ask you something. I bought a scale which told me last week, which told me the truth of me having a 35% of fat. Could that be normal?
In terms of numbers? It sounds pretty normal. I'd say most women, I'm generalizing here, I'm really generalizing, but most women, what is achievable is 20 to 30. Guys are usually about 10% less.
Yeah.
Just are. But most women that I work with will be somewhere between 30 to 35 to 45+%. Like, it's very normal. Like, someone who Yeah, that's kind of like a very normal number, if that's what you're asking me. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did say that I should obviously lower that between 23 and 31. And in order to do that, it was about exercise at the moment more than nutrition, although I am doing the nutrition, but probably I'm getting it wrong with the exercises.
So what's the question? Like, should you be focusing on one thing
So
rather than
is
another?
it true that in order to lower that percentage, the solution is more on the nutrition and the strengthening?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. They both help. The nutrition is actually the bigger part of the equation because like that body fat percentage, even if you did no workouts, right, and you were in a calorie
Yeah.
deficit, like if you drop the amount of fat on your body, your percentage drops as well. So nutrition, massive key. You can't lose body fat without fixing your nutrition. That's number one. The workout side of things will help because if you build muscle, which some scales will be able to detect, changes in muscle will, even at the same amount of fat on your body, if you have the same amount of fat and more muscle, you have lower body fat percentage, right? But it's much easier and it's much faster to lose body fat than it is to build muscle, right? Generalizing, right? You
Yeah.
can usually lose fat 2 to 3 times as fast as you like build muscle in like a very healthy way, because muscle building is a very slow process, like generally speaking. So you should aim to do both. Like when it comes to strength training, again, I have to do this with a broad brush for everyone because I'm like on Q&A and I'll try to answer them as broadly as I can. But calorie deficit, enough protein, enough fiber, you're good. Workouts 2 to 3 times a week. Strength train, try to improve and get stronger in your workouts. That's it. That's what you need to do, right? Whether you do guided workouts, whether you find a workout online, but just make sure that you stick to proper exercises, right? Like don't base it around like sit-ups, crunches, arms, and side planks and stuff like that, right? You need to do some sort of, if you can, squats, push-ups, use weights, and then the next week, can you improve by 1 or 2 reps? Great. Improve by 1 or 2 reps. Can you plank for an extra 5 seconds? Amazing. You just keep making those improvements. You have to give your body a reason to build muscle. Okay, if you come in and you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again for months and months on end, your body will keep giving you the same results, right? So you have to just push it a little bit. You need to tell your body, next time I do that plank, I need a bit of extra muscle to help me out. So that's my answer. Hopefully that's helpful.
Very, very helpful. And if I can just quickly ask you, is it true that we shouldn't really eat carbs in the evening? I'm Italian, so I love my pasta and I love having it in the evening. Is this true?
If I told you that was true, my Italian friends would, and my clients would have all killed me by now.
No,
So
it's okay. Be honest.
lucky for you, it's not true at all. No, you can
At
have
all.
carbs at 10 p.m. You can have your pasta. I have pasta every single day. You will be fine. It is what you do in a day and in a week that is more important. Doesn't matter, right? It's like filling up a car. Okay, doesn't matter if you stop. You drive from here to Scotland, right? London to Scotland, right? Doesn't matter if you have a full tank of fuel and you go in one, or you want to stop at Manchester and then you want to stop 10 miles later, and it doesn't matter, right? Just the amount of petrol that goes in, the same output, it's the same. Largely
Great.
speaking.
Amazing. I love that answer. Thanks.
Good.
Thanks a lot, Adam.
Nice one. Sophia, I think, if she's there. I'll give you all like 5-10 seconds.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was trying to unmute myself. I didn't know what I was doing. My question is kind of, I worked out all my macros and I had a trainer that worked them out for me. And it was like in a calorie deficit. And I think I had to hit like 125, 130 grams of protein, like 200 grams of carbs or something. But I'd always be so full before I was able to hit it, like throughout the day. So I'd go to bed being like, I just genuinely can't eat anymore, but I haven't hit what I technically, in quotations, need. So is that fine? Or is it like the composition of what I'm eating should be better to hit it?
So you're saying that basically you get to your like calorie target, but you can't hit the protein and fiber targets kind of thing?
Kind of, but also I could be like under the calories, but I'm just like I'm intentionally trying to eat more protein, but I can't reach the number, and I'm like full before I hit anything. So I'm like, is that fine? Even though sort of technically I should be eating more.
Yeah, like largely speaking, again, nothing is binary. So like, it's not like, for example, like the minimum number that I try to get most people to aim for protein is 100, because it's kind of like realistic, and it gives you 90%, 95% of all the progress that you're looking for in terms of like muscle building and that kind of stuff, right? So look at it like this: if you come in and you don't quite get to your targets, or your calories are a little bit lower because you're full or whatever, like, it's fine to bank those calories as long as you feel okay doing that, right? I wouldn't worry about it too much. As long as you're making consistent progress, you're not hungry, and you feel kind of good, it's fine. The difference between, say, like 50 grams of protein to even 80 or 90 is massive. The difference between 80 and 90 to like 100 is like a little bit better, you know? 100 to like 130 is like, yeah, like, you have to eat a whole extra chicken breast, but like, you know, you're not going to gain any more muscle from that. It might help you with like hunger and stuff like that. There are benefits, right? But don't feel that it's like completely binary. Same thing with like fiber, right? It's like, the more that you can get, the better, but you don't have to look at it as like 18 or 15 is bad, and I'm short of that 20 number that Adam's told me to hit. Like, don't worry about it, right? The longer you do it, the more little workarounds and hacks that you'll find that will help you get there. So it could be like protein shakes. It could be like going, oh, I didn't know that berries, raspberries, and Adam today told me that passion fruit is really good, and I love that. I don't know, random stuff like that. You'll get better at it the more that you're tracking. I promise you, it'll get easier.
Okay. So there's nothing to panic about.
Absolutely not. No, don't worry about it. It sounds like you're doing great. You've got your macros, and most people would love to be in a position where they're like tracking their progress, making progress, but going, oh, I'm not at my numbers like every single day, every single week. I'm a bit short here and there. Like, don't worry about it. It will get easier, right? You're in a place where you're like, you're not that hungry. It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much.
Nice one. Christy.
Good morning. I'm in Sydney, so it's super early here. But we've been following you for quite a while. I'm wondering how the Noura is going to translate for a wheelchair user. Like, have you ever worked with a wheelchair user before? Would there be many adaptations that we'd need to make? Will it still be effective?
What are you going to be using the app for? Because I would say the app is 75-80% like nutrition, because it's basically going to sort out all of your like your meal planning, your tracking, all of this sort of stuff. There's going to be workouts in there. There's alternatives on how to switch them. You can always come to the live calls, kind of like, let's say what this is. I'm assuming I'm not going to have like thousands of people on the Zoom call like every week. We'll figure that out when we get there. And you can always just ask me questions, and you can put it into the community. So if you need any like adaptations, I'll do my best to help you out. Anything in particular in terms of exercises that you know that you need adapting with, or anything with the nutrition that you need like adapting with?
Well, it's actually for my daughter. So we were thinking of doing this as a family. But she's 15 and needs to lose a little bit of weight. Obviously, doesn't have a whole lot of energy, and it's quite difficult because she does use a wheelchair. So we were hoping that maybe the Noura might be able to get her started and help her with her energy levels, which then may in turn encourage her with, being able to become a little bit more ambulant.
Yeah. I'd say as well, like, we'll do our best to like help you work around as many like alternatives or challenges that maybe she might have, because are you relating it more to like the movement side of thing, right?
Yeah, I guess a little bit. Probably for me, actually, at the moment, we're really just concerned about her weight. And of course, because she can't move, the more she doesn't move, the more weight she gains. So we're kind of hoping that this could be something that will work, because everything that you do is so easy to understand, and you're such a happy, beautiful person, and really easy to just, vibe with and watch from here. Even my husband loves watching your videos. So we're hoping that that might be a start, and then eventually we could add the movement into it, but we just weren't really sure like diet wise and calorie wise, how that would sort of work for her being someone that is really not very ambulant. Like she can't walk 10,000 steps a day like I can.
The,
So would it give her a good start, do you think?
I think numbers wise you'll get a good start on the numbers, because it will be able to calculate, it will tell you when you log in kind of thing, what your goals are, what you're looking to do. And let's say you put in there, I'm just making up an example, I am going to do 0 workouts and I'm doing no steps a day, but these are my goals, what should I be eating? It will give you the correct numbers for that. And you can always like I said, drop it onto a call by me, or you can pop it into like under any of my community posts. I'll be building out like more and more features, and if there's anything in there indeed that you might feel might be helpful for you, and especially if it's helpful for others as well, I don't know what particular features it might be, let me know, and I'll always try to sort of like put it into the app. But nutrition, I think that for sure it will give you a really good solid starting base, and hopefully it makes it all easier because you've got all the ebooks, and you'll have in there like a database of like another 200 of all of my own recipes. These are all of my own recipes that I've got in there. So the meal planning side I think should be like relatively simple and easy, and then any workouts, if she is someone who can maybe do upper body movements, you can stick to doing those, although I'd probably say I'd be happy to help you, like, you know, like give you a few particular workarounds for any of your situation. But I'd say, like, generally speaking, like Noura App, really good for all things guided workouts and all the nutrition. It will give you all of that, and then I'm in there in the community to like keep it going. The one-to-one stuff is more like you know, we're on calls with people, we're messaging people and working around every little thing. So that's probably the difference between the two, right? So hopefully that kind of makes sense. So I think even if you went in there for a month and you're like, you can sort of see how it goes, you could do that if you wanted to, like whatever you think is best for you. But I think you'll get some value out of it for sure, as a family as well.
Cheers. No, thank you, because not a lot's adapted and it's really hard to find something and then find a person that's as happy as you are and as easy to understand as you are. So, you know, she's a teenager. But yeah, I think that this will definitely work for her, but I just really wanted to see how it might translate. So, cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm glad that you found the content really helpful and everything so far.
Yeah, it's a nice 4 a.m. wake up this morning.
I was going to say committed. Yeah, that's well done. Yeah,
no,
awesome.
Well, it's worth it. Thank you so much, Adam.
Good stuff. I think I'm pronouncing the name right. Shanice, something like that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Sean.
Sean. Okay, right, Sean. How are we doing?
Yeah, not bad. I'm being pretty rubbish. I think what I eat is relatively healthy, but I haven't been tracking. And in the last 6 months, I've actually broken my wrist where I obviously couldn't do a lot. And now I've broken my foot, so I can do even less. So any tips on exercises I can do? Normally, I'm pretty good at my steps because I have 3 dogs, which I can't actually walk at the minute, so steps are really, really bad. And obviously, when I'm bored because I can't do anything, obviously, I'm just wanting to look in the cupboards for trash. Any tips for the next 4 weeks until I can move?
Yeah. So you're basically limited with like the with steps and your ankle, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. First thing is obviously eliminate any impact exercises. That should go without saying, i.e. burpees. So you're off the hook for burpees and minis and mountain climbers if that's what you wanted to hear. Do as much of the static stuff as you can. So if you can do like body weight squats, if you can do any kind of like upper body movement, push-ups, maybe with a band or like dumbbells, all of that kind of stuff, then I'd recommend doing that. But a good focus on lower body stuff would be great because it burns a bit more calories. You have a bit more muscle sort of down there. And the lack of movement or the more limited movement, if you're getting less steps in, should at least reflect somewhat in your hunger. Like, you're not going to want to eat as much if you're going from, I'm just making an example, 10,000 steps to 3,000 steps, for example. And then you still have to do the right things in terms of like meal prep, in terms of all of that sort of stuff. So you still have to have the right actions, and you will be fine. Like, you'll recover, you'll be able to get back out, and your steps will go up. But it just feels a bit rubbish, doesn't it, when you can't, when you're injured? I hate being injured and you can't move.
I've normally done, before I get to work at 8:20, I've done over 5,000 steps. So to do less than that in a whole day and being stuck in is killing me. And I am just looking in the cupboards for anything. And people are turning up with biscuits, chocolates. I'm like, I don't want them, but I just eat them because I'm bored.
One thing I would say in terms of a tip that you probably want to identify, same thing for everyone, right, is there are going to be some foods and snacks which are hyper palatable, which is a fancy way of saying, when I eat one, I can't stop eating anymore, right? It's just gonna happen, right? Sometimes you need to not kid yourself and be like, right, those Maryland cookies, right, or those milk chocolate buttons, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, I'm just gonna have one, right? You're gonna have 12, right? I'm gonna do the same thing, right? Everyone's got those foods, but then you've got other snacks, but there's a grey area where for most people, it's you can have a little bit and kind of go, I've had enough. Example, ice cream and cookies. You will eat much more than you think, right? You can't go, no one goes in there. If anyone here does go in there into their like Ben and Jerry's ice cream and you have one spoon, there's something wrong with you, because no one does that, right? You go in and you have 5 big heaped teaspoons and you shove it down, right? But stuff like popcorn, stuff like weird one for me, like fruit pastels and sweets. Like, I don't really have those, but like I don't really overeat those sort of thing.
I have just made mango ice cream today.
You made it, you say?
Yeah,
Nice.
just frozen mango, 120 ml of coconut cream, and a squeeze of honey.
Yeah. So, any by the way, any good like sweet fruit snacks that you can make are always a good plus to getting rid of sweet cravings, right? That is always just like that's a sort of another added thing there.
And I don't like cold, so I won't overeat that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's probably some of the answers that you might have thought I was going to give you in terms of plan. Make sure you've got the right food in the cupboard, and yeah, that's pretty much what I'd say.
Okay, I shall try and do some upper body stuff. I'm not sure on the squats because the boot is so big. I'm very lopsided.
If you can do any lower body exercises like deadlifts or non-impact stuff, like I said, always a good option. Even if you're doing it at like someone said to me the other day, like, oh, I can't do anything, I hate exercising. What do you think about like doing like half of my workout, like 10-15 minutes in the morning, and then I want to do the rest of it in the evening? I'm like, whatever gets it done. The most important thing is, did it get done, right? So the more you can do, the better, right?
Lovely. Thank you. And I try not to break any more bones.
Yeah, don't break yourself anymore, please. Next time if I speak to you in the future, I hope you're fully recovered and you're back to walking the 3 dogs.
I'm trying to. Yeah, if ever you fancy walking 3 extra, just let me know.
I think 1 is enough for me. 1 dog's enough.
Yeah, and they're all high energy because I've got 2 collies and a collie cross lurcher, so none of them are quiet.
Oh, you really decided to put yourself in for it there, didn't you? I mean,
I used to have huskies before, but
okay, right, there we go.
They don't listen. They love walking, but they're not very good off lead. The recall's rubbish, so I went back to collies.
All right, nice one.
Lovely,
right, well,
thank
keep me
you.
updated. I'll fly over to, I think, Carol. I'll try to work I'll get around everyone as long as you stay on. I'll get around to you.
Thank you.
Nice one. How's it going, Carol?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you said my name. My question is, whenever I start to eat healthy, and I don't know if your other clients have had this, I get really bloated and get stomach pains. And I've already checked with my doctor that I don't have any like autoimmune or any sort of issues. So I'm not sure. And then I want to give up because I'm like, I feel better. I don't get bloated on pizza. So has that ever happened before? And if so, is like, I don't know if it's too much fiber. Is there a way to like recommend to introduce it easier?
Short
Just
answer is
sure.
yes. If you are getting like stomach bloating problems, all that kind of stuff, there could be a few things. Firstly, there could be some foods in there that are not agreeing with you. So I've seen so many random things over the years. Like one person was like, "Oh, I realized that when I put what's that group of vegetables called? Aioli,
Cruciferous,
yeah, all of that sort of stuff. Anyway,
cruciferous.
someone basically couldn't have like onions, and she didn't realize it because she didn't eat them before, and she started eating more of them. And she's like, "Oh, I didn't realize it's that." So sometimes there's one particular food. If you are someone who's going from not a lot of fiber and you're having like, for lack of a better term, fast food, not so much whole foods, right? And you just bump up the fiber immediately, can definitely cause bloating issues. You need to make sure that you're getting in a lot more water, because if you look at how fiber works, it's essentially kind of like puts everything into like a more of a gooey mess, and it helps you like flush out your system and stuff. But if you don't, if you put in loads of fiber, and you don't get the water in with it, you can get like sort of not feel so great. So I would try to gradually increase the fiber by something like fiber is obviously a smaller number anyway than protein, right? But I'd probably say something like, let's say you were getting in 10 grams, right? Just aim for like 12 to 15 grams rather than jumping straight up to 20. And you should find over the course of like a 3, 4, 5, 6 week period, it should start to agree with you like a little bit more. And again, try to pay attention to certain foods. Almost certainly there might be some foods in there that don't agree with you. And if they don't, identify what they are, just swap them out. So for me, randomly, there's like a certain bunch of beans that just don't work with me. But like chickpeas, butter beans are like amazing. When I have kidney beans, they don't really work so well with me. So sometimes it's just random stuff like that. And yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll try that. Thank you.
Nice one. Good stuff. Amanda, how are we doing?
Hi. I was just wondering if you could tell me more about like the 80-20 approach.
Sure. Generally speaking, if you can be good 80% of the time, like on track 80% of the time, and you allow yourself 20% of the time to put in foods that you enjoy or sweet treats and all of that kind of stuff, that's essentially like what that is saying. The caveat to that is when you are good 80% of the time, let's just say 5 days a week, by the way, I think my mental maths tells me it's something like 75% of your week. So if you're good Monday to Friday, that's not 80%, but that's absolutely fine. And you're not so great on the weekend, as long as those other 2 days are not like completely wildly out of control. And by the way, I've seen people go wildly out of control. They think they don't go out of control, but when you have zero awareness, right? And they're like, "Oh, Adam told me I can, as long as I'm good Monday to Friday," right? And then you can't just go out and be like, you know, I'm going to have a starter with olive oil and bread and share a bottle of wine, and you go to like 3,500 calories. It is totally possible, right? But generally speaking, if you're good 80% of the time, it's a really good balance for like reality. Because personally, the way that I do social events, and I'm assuming that you kind of mean like all of this with regards to like nutrition and weight loss and stuff.
Yeah.
I the way that I do it is I actually eat healthy all of the time, if I can say that. But I have so many social events that is my going out. So I have no desire, to be quite honest with you, to have like chocolate and all of that sort of stuff. I've got so much meals in here and my food. I try not to waste any food. So that's kind of like the way that I do it, and that literally always works out for me about like 80% of the time, 90% of the time I'm kind of good. Sometimes a little bit less if I'm on holiday, but again, broad picture, that's what 80-20 is. It's like, you know, be good most of the time. You don't have to be good all the time. You can allow yourself flexibility.
Okay. I was also wondering about like strength training.
Should you do it? Is that what you're asking me?
I'm just wondering because like I tend to like meal prep during the week, and I'm just trying to find like a good workout that's good for me in the evening.
So I would say for strength training, sometimes I go over those in my previous masterclasses and stuff, but again, I'm broad brushing it here, but 2 to 3 times a week of like 30 minutes at least, right? You're getting the benefits that you need. You amount of time. If you're someone who's not doing any strength training at the minute, make sure that you just stick to compound exercises: squats, deadlifts, glute bridges, push-ups, rows, shoulder presses, not so much of the faffy exercises. Get a little bit better. You should definitely do it if you can, right? It doesn't matter when you do it. It doesn't really matter, how you do it, like really sort of thing. Just get it in, kind of like nutrition. But you should definitely do strength training. Like even 2 times a week is better than nothing.
Okay. And I had another question regarding like strength training. I recently like hurt my elbow. So I'm just wondering what a good strength training like exercise would be for that if my arm is like hurting.
What's the limitation? Just remind me again on your arm. What do you say was?
It's my elbow. It's like the bone that moves everything. I hurt it when I was at work.
Okay. If it's just a short-term injury, then hopefully you'll be able to work around it like for the future. But for the moment, if you've got an elbow injury, more likely than not, it's probably going to be affecting your pushing movements and your pulling movements.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought so. So just leave. If something hurts, don't do it. Try to find a few alternatives and workarounds. So, for example, if you can't do push-ups, try to do a shoulder press instead, or try to do a different angled push-up, right? And if all of those still hurt, just do what you can, right? So do the lower body movements. If you can do like rowing movements where you do like pulls and stuff like that, then go for it. So that's pretty much what to do. Always do something if you can't do one. It's better to do something.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Good stuff. Nice one, Amanda. Hopefully, wishing you a good recovery, and hopefully, I like to connect with people like in the, sometimes months down the line. Like sometimes people like message me, or they come onto a masterclass like 6 months later, and they're like, "I watched this thing that you did. It really put it into perspective for me." And they're like, "I was that person who asked you that silly question 6 months ago," and they're like, "Oh, I've lost like 60 pounds and started doing strength training." So if anyone does any of these things, and always message me. I'm happy to hear about it. Anyway,
awesome. Thank you.
I digress. Nusrat, how are we doing?
Hi, Adam. How are you? I just have 2 very quick questions. I have a sweet tooth, and I'm diabetic. Somebody had advised that apple cider vinegar or cinnamon powder supplements are supposed to help with sugar cravings. Is that right? Or is there anything else that you could recommend?
If there's any benefit to like particular ingredients, they're usually very minor, if I'm being honest with you. So for example, people would say to me like, it could be cinnamon, it could be apple cider vinegar. Are they bad? No. Are they going to like eliminate cravings? Also not so much. It's the same thing with like lemon water, and I hear like lots of different things, different supplements, etc. The only way to get rid of it is to just or to help with cravings is to just hit the numbers with the nutrition that usually kind of does it, and then try to I would, if someone does have any sweet cravings and stuff like that, I would recommend try to actually get in more fruit like throughout the day. Remember, fruit has like fiber and stuff like that, so if you choose the right kind of fruit and you have it in the context of like a larger meal, you should be okay for like stable for like blood sugar levels and all of that kind of stuff. Obviously that's dependent like person to person, everyone's has different triggers and whatnot, but short answer is probably isn't going to do much. I couldn't recommend you anything as a hack apart from probably what I've taught you tonight. Okay.
The second question is about chia seeds. You had mentioned earlier on about they're a good source of fiber. So how many tablespoons would you add to yogurt? Or teaspoons?
I would. Tracking the calories at like 2 teaspoons is probably enough, right? So all of this stuff really good. 2 teaspoons, probably getting like 8 grams of fiber. I don't know, 6 to 8 grams of fiber. Is that 2 teaspoons or something like that? So
are you able to eat the yogurt straight away, or you have to let the chia seeds sit for a little bit?
You don't have to let them sit at all. No.
Right. Okay.
It's really
That's
simple.
it.
Yeah. That's it.
Great, thank you.
Amazing. Irina, how are we doing?
Hello, hi Adam. Thank you for the session, and I also follow you on Instagram. I really enjoy your recipes, so thank you for doing this. I have just a couple of questions. One is around what happens to our bodies after 40, based on your formula. Is it the BMR that changes, or what exactly shifts? Because what I've seen in my body, I've had my child at 35. I lost weight very quickly afterward, and that was amazing. But since about a year or so, I've just started to gain gradually. And no matter what I do, it just doesn't seem to go away.
So after 40, after especially of like a common one is like having kids and stuff like that, your body does change somewhat. The good news is that most of it can be mitigated with like protein, building muscle, exercise, and lifestyle and stuff like that. So the underlying, like, if you can call it like the engine of what your body is doing at 40, 50, even 60, right? You're actually your BMR and stuff doesn't actually really change that much.
Okay.
But I had an equation on like a previous one. I can't bother to get it up here on like a previous slide, and I gave the example of someone who's like 25 and someone who is like 50, like the same person, and how that would change. And you'll see that your BMR, like basically your metabolism, so to speak, doesn't actually change between like 20 to 60. It sounds crazy, right? But like what is actually happening is that people lose muscle because they don't train after 30 and you're not as active. So you lose your metabolism that way. And then because you averaged 12 to 15,000 steps when you were young because you went out and partied and you gym loads and all that sort of stuff, and now you're a bit more sedentary and you lose 200 calories a day every single day that you don't realize, and you get into some habits, your sleep is worse because you've got kids and you're more stressful work. All of these little things compound. It's not necessarily one magical thing. So it is I totally understand, and it is a little bit harder to keep up as you get older because life is harder. Going in a workout, and even for me now, like, you know, it's I can't train like I did. By the way, people always ask me how old am I? I'm 37. So some people were like, oh, I thought you were like 25 or 28 or something like that. No. But yeah, like training for me was a little bit easier like 15 years ago, right? But I feel largely the same because I keep doing the same thing. I prioritize my sleep. I do the same workouts. So that's kind of like broadly what's going on in terms of like the past 40 thing. And you have to also just manage your expectations. I would say the older you get. So like just going, do you know what? I'm doing all of these things. I'm trying to manage my protein, my calories, and lose weight and do all these things and exercise, and just being okay that progress is 1 pound a week instead of 2, or half a pound a week, and then you can work back from that.
Yeah, that's helpful. I mean, if there was progress, I would be very happy. For now, it looks like a bit stagnant, but I'll give your app a try because it sounds interesting. So maybe I'll see from trying it out for a month or so what's wrong, what am I not doing the right way.
Are you tracking your calories and protein and fiber and stuff at the minute?
I'm not, because I was, I do believe I eat healthily, but when I was in high school, I was kind of close to bulimia and some sort of dysfunctions around eating. So I don't really want to go into tracking calories too much. But if it's an app doing it, maybe that's all right.
Yeah, my app will give you all of the right numbers and stuff like that. I'm sure everything is like kind of pretty much ready to go. I'm just populating like the last of the recipes. A good way for everyone as well, like to track calories without tracking calories, because sometimes it can be a bit like, oh, I don't want to track, or it's long, or like, you know, the relationship with food. That's what recipes are there for, right? Is that you make, for example, let's say you, like, my thing will be able to generate like a meal plan. I think if anyone's seen the way that it works, so like, and it will just give you can filter it based on like whatever you want, and then you can just eat it. And if you don't want that certain thing, you're like, it's boring, right? Just pick anything else that looks nice, that will fit the goal. It should fit it. It'll, and I think even like what we've got at the minute is going to be like really good in the app, but I'm just gonna. It's like a basically like a plant, right? Like my ebooks. When I create them, I give them to you. Here's the recipes. Great. With the app, it's going to be continually ongoing. There's going to be probably going to look completely different between now and even like Christmas, right? So it's going to be really fun. But I'm basically basing it off all of your feedback and stuff like that. So it should be good, hopefully.
Very exciting. Thanks a lot, Adam.
Cheers. Thank you. Jasmine, how are we doing?
Hi, Adam. How are you?
Good, thanks. How you doing?
Good. I'm in US, live in California. I've been following you with the recipe as well, but every time I think about protein and stuff, I got very, very frustrated because when I calculate it, the protein is good. It's 120, 30. I've tried a few years back putting as much as protein in the diet, but with the protein powder and other things, no matter what, it's vegan or not vegan, I get very, very bloated. Even if I don't get bloated, I feel bulky, like after I exercise or doing some strength training and all. So I stopped doing that, and my weight is like lighter. I feel lighter, but putting the protein from the food sources, it's kind of like a frustrating for me.
So what would you say, if you don't mind me asking, what's the question? Would you say like, how can I get like
More
protein?
protein from the
Yeah.
food source instead of protein shake or protein
Sure.
powder.
By the way, if anyone has any like bloating or something doesn't agree with you from like protein powder, sometimes you can just experiment. If you're on the standard whey protein concentrate, sometimes going to whey protein isolate, which has less lactose in it, fraction less calories, but the calories is irrelevant, is something you can try. But nearly everyone, when you're in a calorie deficit, you are going to have to include more lean protein sources. That's pretty much it. You just have to go sometimes chicken breast instead of chicken thighs. Sometimes you're just going to have to go 0% fat Greek yogurt, and you have to understand where that trade-off might be for you, right? You know, so for me, I can kind of usually go like chicken breast and Greek yogurt, and then sometimes I might be like, I want to have a chicken thigh for dinner, but I'll just factor that into the meal as a whole. But generally speaking, if you can get a fist-sized portion of a lean protein source into your onto your plate with every meal, it's a good place to start. But yeah, it is just like lean protein sources. There's no better way than that.
But every time I think about meats and stuff, it's just like, okay, how much meat I have to chew during the daytime. Like I don't love much like red meat, and I'm South Asian. So for me, like rice is like a big portion. Vegetables is like a medium portion, and then meat is like a small portion. But I do understand, like when I see all those Americans and then hear the way people eat and stuff, it's kind of like a big chunk of like steak and stuff. Like most of the time, like it's rare cooked, this is this, this is that. Like I don't like those kind of food that much, but I would love salads and pasta and different kind of things. But I do make it like my way. But those carbs volume is like more instead of like vegetables and meat are like less.
Yeah. A few other things that I can suggest to you are there is sometimes no way around it where you have to rewire what your plate looks like and where your brain thinks. So like I said, if you have mostly this much vegetables, this much carbs, and only a little bit of protein, you're going to have to take a bit of carbs out or to reduce the fat a little bit and increase the protein in some way. Some ways to do it, like in some of my recipes, sometimes they're like, oh my God, Adam, I had no idea that sauce that you made had like 30 grams of protein in it. So you can kind of hide it in sometimes. So I did like a couple of salad recipes over the last 2 weeks. The last one I made this week, it was some cucumber, carrot, cabbage thing. And I think that sauce had like 0% fat Greek yogurt, and it had peanut butter in it. And those two were giving like 25 grams of protein or 30 grams of protein for like the entire recipe. So there's ways that you can like sneak it in. But if you can find a product that agrees with you in terms of like a whey protein, it probably is a good idea if you can just wake up in the morning, chug it down if it really is like that much of an issue. So I would say maybe experiment there, but you do have to rewire and sometimes trick yourself into having a bit more protein.
I do love my workout a lot, even though with the working out, like
Yeah.
with the food and everything. It just sometimes like with the food base, with the workout, like I'm very, very good. I do work out like 5 or 6 days a week. I've done Deca Spartan, I've done High Rocks, those kind of thing. But with the food wise, I'm very, very like frustrating. And when you breaking it down, how to find your steps, how to find your calories with your presentations, and over there, I have a questions like the day you don't work out, do you still uh, count your calories the entire day,
Yes.
or how?
So yeah. So I'll tell you. Um, with regards to like up and down days on calories, movement, and stuff like that, keep it flat. You don't. I promise you, you don't need to overcomplicate it more than that. The only time it changes is when you have intense workouts. I would say that are like 60 minutes or more. So just as a slightly more extreme example is when people were with me and they were like doing the London Marathon. They used to go out on the weekend. They used to do their long run and they would run for like 2 hours, right? Obviously eat more on those days. It's like calories in, calories out. But generally speaking, keep your calories flat. I keep my calories flat across the entire week and I train like 5 days, some days up, some days down, some steps up, some steps down. It doesn't matter. But when you do more cardio, you tend to burn more calories up front compared to strength training. So that's why if you do like a run for an hour, you'll burn 700 calories. You're going to be starving. You're going to want something in there like immediately or pretty soon after. But generally speaking, whenever we give people, whether it's through my app, my calculation, or in the coaching, if I give them a number, we just tell them to stick to it. That it really doesn't have to be any more complex than that, I promise. Unless you're doing extreme workouts.
So from all your app, like what do you think is gonna be best for me to be consistent? Recipe book, your app, or like one-on-one coaching with you?
Depends what you want. I'll say it like this: if you want something really simple and easy, entry level, get my recipe book. The recipe books are accessible in the app, but they are not. You can't keep them and download them and print them off and do all that sort of fun stuff with them, right? So my recipe ebook like you can't go wrong. Even if you get the app, you'll be glad that you got the recipe ebook anyway because you'll have it on your phone and whatever. The app is going to be a place where you can track your food accurately. By the way, I think I've got the best, genuinely the best database because what I've done, I'm not sure if anyone's seen it in the app, but I've one of the biggest questions that people have and that they go in, I don't know what chicken breast to search for, I don't know what egg to search for, all of this sort of stuff, right? I've removed all of that. I created an entire new database so that you can just use any ingredient with like 100% confidence. Whenever you type in egg, it's my egg, whatever. So anyway, you can track foods, you can access the recipes, as in like you'll be able to search for them. You can put it into a meal planner, create your own meal planner, have a look at it, log it in your day. And then I'll be on, the plan is that I will do we'll do 2 calls a week, probably a Monday and a Thursday at like a morning and an evening, okay, just to cover like different time zones. And then I will be in there and I'll kind of do like an open Q&A, but I'll cap it at like an hour. The fact that I'm in there is I'm giving people way more than what they would ever get from any other app because I'm actually in there, right? And then there'll be a community section, kind of like, you can call it like, I can't think of a better term to put it, like a Facebook group sort of thing. So obviously the app is a one-to-many, and then the one-to-one is if you want me and team to look at what you do, have calls with you, message you. You can message us. That the calls are going to be like 2 to 10 people. You get all your questions answered a bit quicker. That's obviously the trade-off, right? So that's the reality. So it depends on which one of those you need. If you want only recipes, recipe book. If you want an all-in-one nutrition, meal planning, tracking app, and support that might look a bit more like this, and then I'll maybe do topics and stuff on every week, then go into Noura. And then if you want one-to-one coaching, one-to-one. So that's probably you'd
All
press
right,
answer
thank
that.
you.
Sorry. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you so much.
Nice one. Monica, sorry, thanks but if you have waited this long to get on the call, I do appreciate it. I'm trying my best to answer people's questions and hopefully get value at the same time. How's it going, Monica?
Hi, all good. Hello from Switzerland, actually.
Very nice.
Hi. First of all, I just want to thank you about all you do, all of the videos that you post. It's everything magnificent, especially doing this workshop today. It's really amazing. So thank you. First of all, I do have a few questions. Some of them have been answered partially until now. I'm really interested in the app features. Would you have any connectivity, any API or to Health Connect or something like that, so that it tracks the steps and the activity levels? I do have a app right now. I'm relatively happy with it. I made a few suggestions, but they're going really the wrong way. Considering the price I paid, I'm okay with it, but I'm really interested in if you're going to connect this to something.
Short answer is yes. You can connect it to Apple Health and Google Health. So yes.
Okay. So that's that's already good. About the nutrition split, you said that any time of the day, it doesn't matter what we're eating, the type of food, the type of nutrients that we're getting in. But for me, I had pregnancy diabetes, so it's a bit complicated. And just sharing my personal experience, that I ended up taking insulin in my case. I could not eat any carbs after 5 in the afternoon. Not any kind, not fruit, not anything, because it would spike then in the morning. If I didn't do that, and I had a little walk in the evening, which was very difficult, then it would be okay, but it's still at high levels, obviously, with this type of situations. So now introducing for my question, this wouldn't our digestive system then slow down in the evening, and maybe a certain processing of the foods, if we have, like, say, cooked vegetables instead of a salad in the evening, would this not affect our digestive system and the way that it processes the food?
Time of day has less of an impact on how something is processed, like, rather than what is actually going in. There could be, of course, individual differences for sure, but it's more to do with the actual food that you're eating and what you've been eating over the course of the day and 24 hours. That does impact something. So, you know, if you had like super healthy food all day, then you're probably just going to have really stable energy levels. You're going to be really stable, right? But if you've had like dips and spikes with like different food, you've gone out, you had a chocolate bar, all of these little things, that will impact it. But in terms of like let's say for argument's sake, you had like 4 consistent meals that were all really healthy across the day. It doesn't really matter if you had the last meal at like 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. in terms of digestion. But like I said, there can absolutely be individual difference with one's routine. So it's probably a bit complex to answer the second part, but generally speaking, that's what I would say.
Okay. So as someone that works in the office the whole day and then barely has time to take any steps, it's a bit of a complicated issue. Okay, so I understand. One thing that I mentioned also in the chat is I still have the women's cycle, so it does affect the way that we feel about food throughout the month. So let's say when we are getting closer to our periods within these 2 weeks, it gets especially complicated. We get very weak and very hungry. Should we maybe adjust the calorie intake during this time? Because obviously our body is trying to tell us something. And if we don't do something about it, then we will also feel frustrated. We'll get into those the typical mistakes. So I'm just curious to see how you would approach this.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I wish someone asked me that on the number 1 question. Would have helped more when more people were here. But absolutely, like cyclical times of the month, all that kind of stuff. You're going to find times where you are more hungry than others. Your body responds to weight changes very differently, and even your performance and your workouts will be different. Typically, it's actually the week before your cycle where you get most of the I want to eat chocolate, go away, don't talk to me. And
yes.
Yeah. So it's absolutely fine as a strategy, I would say, to identify times of the month where it's more of a challenge for you, and maybe dial back either some of the workouts or some of the intensity of your deficit. It's absolutely fine. And then put your foot on the gas when you know that, like, okay, cool, I'm good these weeks and I feel good. So that's definitely going to be like a case by case basis. But yes, you might want to adjust those and be okay mentally. Women's bodies are going to fluctuate in weight much more than guys, right? It just is what it is. So just be okay with that. But when you look at it over the course of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you'll be like, I'm going in the right direction.
Okay. Thank you. Just one more. This is a tricky one. One of the reasons why I started to taking a little bit more care of myself is because I signed up for an obstacle course with my 6-year-old. So we're going into the mud and climbing and all of that. And I noticed that I've been making a lot of progress on my lower body. Now doing 150 kilos on my legs, but the arms do not go anywhere. No matter what I do, I'm stuck at the 30 kilos or 35 kilos and it doesn't go anywhere. Even though I'm eating well, I'm tracking everything, I'm working a lot, I'm doing my 10,000 steps as much as I can. But because I work in an office, I suppose I don't get to move my arms as much. Then I'm approaching the 40, so the muscle is starting to not develop. Is there anything I can do to battle that somehow?
Firstly, yes and no. Firstly, you are absolutely not alone, because all humans are like that. Everyone gains more muscle in their lower half of their body, right, compared to their upper half of their body, right? And progressions in some parts of the body are almost stagnant for life, even for me. So for example, when I'm doing, the smaller the muscle group that you're doing, like biceps, okay, you do like, bicep curls, right? You are just going to be using the same weight for pretty much years on end, right? Especially once you've been like, it is what it is.
It's a relief already.
Yeah, don't worry about it, right? When it comes to like doing push-up, bigger upper body muscles, your push-ups, you'll be able to make progressions like 10 push-ups to 12 to 13 to maybe doing rows with a 10 kilo to a 12 kilo. All of these things is definitely possible because they're bigger muscles, right? Because it's about the percentage increase, right? Not the absolute weight. So don't put that kind of pressure on you. When you're doing legs, it's very easy. Like in my own training cycles, I always like fix in progression and have stuff to aim for. I might start on like, let's just make this up, like 100 kilos and then kind of go up to like 115 kilos by the end of like a workout block or something like this. But I can tell you, my bicep workouts, my tricep workouts, God, they're so boring. They get the same weight. Because you can't jump from 10 kilos to 12 kilos. That's the smallest jump in like most gyms and stuff, right? That's like a 25% increase. It's like, doesn't work. So it's absolutely normal. One thing that I can say, which might be useful for people in general as a workout technique, is try to focus on exercises that give you a bit more of when you're in like the stretch position of an exercise. So just for an example, it's basically, you could just say, make sure that you're doing a full range of motion is basically what I'm trying to say, right? But like when you're doing your shoulder presses, just make sure that you don't stop here. Like get all the way down. The benefit is actually down here. Make your muscles stretch, right? So when you do stuff like bicep curls and arms and shoulder presses, just make sure that you go through the full range of motion. But anything that is isolation, you're almost going to be using the same weight, making no progression, or at least it feels like that. And the progression is like, oh, it felt a bit easier this week. Cool, it's something, right? So you're not alone. Don't worry.
Okay. And just one question about, you said that you were used to make boot camps, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're still doing this or not doing anymore?
No, I had to finish it in October. I'd done it for like over a decade. My client actually came over from France and she was like, oh, Adam, I want to drop into your boot camp. I haven't seen you. I want to catch up for a coffee. And I was like, so sorry, Callie, I'm actually not there anymore, but I can catch up for a coffee. But no, not anymore. It's impossible. Like my job at the minute online is, I'm already like completely stretched to the limit. So if I was with my boot camp, I wouldn't be doing these. I can tell you that.
Okay.
So
yeah. That's
All
all.
good.
Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. I love Switzerland. I go to do loads of cycling down there, so love it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I've got an iPhone on my screen, and then I've got an MC. Nearly there, and then I'll just leave it. Anyone else who wants to just
Yeah.
open mic.
Hello, Adam. I think I'm the iPhone one, I hope.
You
Yeah,
are.
I
That's
am.
it.
Okay. Thank you very much again for everything. I think I can echo what everybody's saying. Like, you're the easiest person to follow with respect to this. And I did say I live in Ghana, and obviously I'm following you because you're just so easy and it's super clear. I know the food can be different, but honestly, we do have a lot of the foods as well here. But I'm guessing if I was to buy the app, would I be able to plot in some of our stuff and still be able to get some benefit out of it? Like, let's say an example, I don't know if you know what a yam is, similar to a sweet potato, etc. Would that be possible at all, or probably it would not apply for?
Or are you asking me if you can like track certain foods like that in my app?
Yes, yes.
Of course. Like,
Okay.
you think, trust me, everything that you can think of that, like in terms of like to do with meal tracking,
Yeah.
anything that I can make easier, like it will be in there, right? I'm not going to build a
Amazing.
tracking app, like so. And if something is missing, of course, like day one, you're going to be like, Adam, you didn't include yam and plantain and all of these foods.
Yeah,
you ate,
that's
right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can add it like
Okay.
in a minute if I really wanted to, right? So some
Oh,
stuff
amazing.
like updates takes a bit longer, but like I said, we're gonna essentially build everything out in there, so you will be able to track with the same database that other apps will have, right? But I also have the added layer of like all of my known ingredients, because I know that that's a common one. For example, let's say you type in plantain or yam,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
go, oh my god, I got 17 different yams. Which one do I choose? Right, so I eliminated that. So you can see those if you want to, but my ones will pop up at the top, and yeah.
Amazing. That's really cool. And that's really great. So thank you for that. And then, so basically, you mean I don't have to weigh anything, because I'm that person. I can be lazy. If I have to weigh something and before I eat, it gets frustrating. So with the app, all I have to do is just pick what I'm eating, and that's it.
You can do that if you want to. You can track and measure and do all that sort of stuff, but that's what the recipes and the meal plan is there for, right?
Okay.
You might need to I'd recommend maybe tracking or weighing some ingredients in terms of, like, let's say you make a one tray bake, right, and it's like
Yeah.
use 500 grams of chicken. Try to
Yeah.
get used to what 500 grams of chicken is, like, because otherwise you're going to be like, your recipe didn't come out right, and you're going to be like, well, I didn't measure the rice, right? So just make sure that
Okay.
you get the quantities in there. But I will try to have I'll have guides and all that kind of stuff in there as well. So there'll be lots of new stuff that will coming out. So for example, you'll know what 500 grams of chicken breast is. It might be like
Okay.
medium chicken breasts, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, yeah, I think that'll be the best one. I think I followed one of your posts, and you clearly showed how much coffee, like Americano was versus Americano with a bit of oat milk. It was very easy, that one to follow. I think that's the best. So if you have something like that, that's great. Okay, I think that's it from me. I just wanted to understand that and the ingredients, if I could add what it is that we might have here. So that's great. Thank you so
You'll be able
much.
to add everything, and just another note on that. I think I can create some of the stuff that we can do, because I've custom built this whole thing with a development team. I think we'll be able to put some like pretty crazy neat features in there that like other things can't even do. So for example, little things that I was thinking of is that, like, if you pick a recipe,
Yeah.
and you want to use chicken breast instead of chicken thighs, how might that change the calories? Little things like that. Like, I'm going to be able to put all of these little things and swaps in for everyone. So like I said, the goal is, let's create basically the best everything that there is out there, and I'll do my best. Like I said, I'm not going to be perfect, I'm honest, but I will do my best to make it as good as I can for everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice one. MC, how we doing? And then after that, if anyone's got any questions, save the best till last. And then Amina. Yeah. Oh, you're just looking for the unmute button. I'll give you 5.
Oh, okay, here we go. Hi, this is Gosha. Actually, I'm calling from Washington, D.C. Thank you for this great webinar, and I've been following you on Instagram as well. I'm working from home, so I cook almost every day, and I kind of ran out of ideas what to cook. So it's great that I can see what you're cooking and recommending. But my question is related to the workouts. I do like 2-3 times a week the strength workouts. I keep increasing the bar since I'm improving my strength, and I also walk daily, like 3 to 5 miles. Since I'm pushing myself at the gym, I have a lot of muscle soreness, and since I'm working like every other day, the worst day is actually the day that I'm going to the gym again to do the workout. So do you have any recommendation on the ratio of proteins versus fiber and carbs to kind of improve the muscle recovery between or during the workouts?
You should find that muscle recovery, so muscle soreness, like goes away after like 1 to 2 weeks maximum. But in terms of like muscle soreness in general, just make sure that you're getting in enough salt, you're hydrated. You can do the more movement you get in between workouts, the better. So the more steps, the more mobility, the more you sit in there. Like if anyone's done a leg workout and they haven't trained legs for like a month, you'll know about if you sit in the chair all day.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, my legs are killing me. What have you done to me? So yeah, but it's a natural part of it. The only the time that muscle soreness like either comes back or increases if you just keep increasing the volume. Usually it has a linear relationship with like volume. So the more volume you do of something, let's say you did 3 sets of 10 and you're okay and you're recovered or whatever, and you do like 6 sets of 10, you're going to feel it, right? So when you increase the volume, you get more soreness. That's pretty much that. But there's nothing magical apart from just like sleeping well, eating well. The ratio of protein, carbs and stuff like that doesn't really change anything. Not too much in terms of recovery.
So I should still keep like the same amount of proteins during my strength workouts, right? Because my workout is basically, I'm not necessarily increasing the volume. It's more like the weight that I'm increasing.
Yeah. Short answer for everyone is your protein should stay pretty much the same whether you're gaining, maintaining, or in a deficit. Always. Your protein should always be pretty constant. Like the thing that gives is nearly always a bit of fat and a bit of carbs, because you need the protein to build and maintain muscle. So you need to hit that minimum amount to give your body the resources to build new tissue.
So for the person, I'm 54 right now. So to maintain the muscle, what you say, not the amount, the quantity, I should increase the workouts, the strength workouts, because I will exhaust my body in this case. So what will be like the healthiest balance?
So if you ask me kind of like how to progress your workouts a little bit, like as a guideline.
Kind of, because, you know, like the moment I don't work out, I see that I'm going back and I'm losing the muscle mass quickly because of my age. And, you know, like I'm also on a hormonal replacement therapy. So it kind of like messes up the body a little bit.
So in terms of recovery and soreness and all that kind of stuff, a good guideline just in general is you shouldn't be like increasing your workload like by more than like 10% each week or 5% even each week. Aim for really small progressions, right?
Yeah.
Like 10 reps to 12 reps. 12
That's
reps
what I'm
to
doing.
13
Yeah.
reps. That's all you have to do. You don't need to like do like so much that you're really sore every time. Can you just remind me how long did you say that you've been sore for, or is that like something recent?
Well, basically I'm going to the strength workout on Monday. Then my next session will be on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, usually I feel my soreness the most because of the,
in general, like every week, or just in the last 1 week?
Pretty much, because I'm doing a lot of usually the trainings are either upper or lower body, so like I'm trying to not to repeat the same kind of focus each time I'm going to the gym, so I'm kind of trying to switch. But like I had a workout actually 2 days ago, and I can still feel my legs because I was working on legs. So, and I'm drinking a lot. I'm eating like healthy, I think, but maybe I'm just doing something
If you're
wrong. I don't
constantly
know.
sore, I would say that maybe you might want to look at your volume. Like volume is
Maybe
very
it's just
individual. It could be volume. Yeah, like it does just depend. Like sometimes, when I was doing like cycling training, and I was also trying to keep up like squat training and stuff like that. I remember also when I was doing marathon training, I was trying to keep up some level of strength training. I just felt like my legs were always just constantly sore. Like it was felt like lead. So and that volume was just a lot to do at the time. So you might want to have a look at like how many reps and sets and stuff that you're doing. Probably a bit beyond that for this.
Maybe I'm just abusing myself.
Yeah, well, do you know what? I always say it's better to train yourself a bit harder than a bit not so hard. Like if you've got the capacity to do it. So, by the way, I think one question I thought I'd answer in the chat just flashed up. I don't know.
Thank you.
That's all right. Monica said loads of statistics in the app. I can put, if it was my own app, as in like if it was only me, I would put in like the craziest data ever because I'm like full of numbers. But you'll be able to track everything. You'll have your steps in there. There'll be loads of data. I just want to, at the same time, try not to overwhelm people because I know sometimes people. So when you go into my app, what I want to do is I want to track the basics really well. So you can see everything from like have the best tracking app, the steps you can see monthly, weekly, daily, how many calories you're burning, all of that sort of stuff. You can track your sleep in there, by the way. You can track all of this other stuff. I was even going to put a feature or somewhere on the app where you could see how many calories you technically burnt like each day from your steps. And like, for example, I did one workout today, I did 15,000 steps. I have burned this much. I can do whatever I want, but I have to have that balance of like keeping it simple. Otherwise people will be like, oh my God, up, down. But I'll put loads of stuff in there, Monica. So all good. By the way, thanks everyone in the chat for, sounds like you've got like loads of value and you've just had a really good time tonight. So still not done. Amina and iPhone. Amina, how are we doing? Searching for the unmute button.
Yes, how did you know? Unmute. That's right. I'm so sorry. Quick question. Quick one.
So hang on. I think. Bear me 1 second. iPhone. Amina, go. I'll let her go first,
yes.
and I'll come back to you. Sorry.
Of course.
Go for it, Amina.
Sorry, I just found the button. Thank you for taking my call so late.
That's all right. No problem.
So I wanted to ask about exercise calories versus the food calories.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, like I've got my tracker for like I think it's 14,000 or something calories to consume in the day. So should I be burning that many calories in the day as well?
I think I know what you're asking. Firstly, definitely didn't burn 14,000 calories in a day. Otherwise, you would be you'd be the first person in human history to do that every day. But no, 1,400 calories, obviously, jokes aside. Keep it flat. Don't worry about it. You don't need to change. For example, when you go into food tracking apps and it's like, oh, I've done this much exercise. Should I reduce it from my calories? Don't do it. Don't bother. Like I said, unless you are doing something that is an hour of intensity or more, don't bother. So don't worry about it. Just keep it consistent. Again, if you do 15,000 steps because you went on a hike, can you immediately just backfill those calories using Adam's magical equation that I showed you today? I bet no one saw. Yeah. You can absolutely do that. But generally speaking, for daily goals, keep it flat.
Okay. Also, I wanted to ask, I usually like work out like mid-afternoonish, early morning, but I'm finding like the breakfast I'm eating, I don't know whether I like, how do I ask this? The time duration from breakfast to exercise, is there like a certain time you have to wait before you do the workout? Because I find I feel sick when I do work out because I feel the breakfast is like coming up.
Yep, for sure. I would, if you're training in the morning fasted, I would usually keep it very light, as in like coffee and or banana.
That's the
Just as an
thing, a lot
example.
of people mention banana, but I hate bananas.
Yeah,
Is
but you
there
don't have to.
any other
Yeah.
option?
Just leave it like an hour or so is usually a good recommendation before you train, and you won't feel so stodgy. But that's a personal thing. I usually leave it like 1 to 2 hours. That's kind of how I do it. I usually will have like my lunch at like, I don't know, 1, and then I usually train. Have my nice double espresso at like 2:30, 3 p.m. and go to the gym. That's kind of what I do. And then afterwards, again, not that important. Just eat whenever you're. As long as you eat something for the rest of the day, you'll be fine.
Okay, and how soon is too soon to eat after your workout?
Whilst you're doing the exercise. Right? So if you're eating your sandwich as you're finishing the last 2 reps of your squat, that's too soon. But as soon as you finish the gym, then you are free to eat. You can eat a sandwich on the way back. You're good. That's it. You're good. I'd say I recommend any time like between 1 to 2 hours after your workout, which 95% of people will do. You're absolutely fine. But even then, you're not losing anything if you have to, don't know, wait longer than that. It's the net of what you do at the end of the day. So.
Okay. And I've been like training and doing work, looking after my diet for, I think it's about 2.5 months, coming to 3 months now. But I seem to be only like losing about 0.3 kilos, maybe in a week. Is that still okay?
Okay is dependent on each person, like in terms of like what you have to lose, what you're happy with. If you're like, here's a good general rule for like rate of change. If you are not happy with your rate of change and you are not tracking diligently, you need to go back and be honest with yourself and go, am I tracking properly? And if you are, and you're like, I think I'm doing everything okay, and my hunger is okay, you have to drop the calories by 1 to 200, and it will just restart. It will reignite, like just more fat loss. It's as simple as that. It's a game of calories. It's a numbers game. So.
Okay.
So hopefully that helps.
But then, for example, say if I do decrease the calories by 100 or 200, how long would I carry that on for until I like plateau again? Because I know you mentioned in your
until you hit the plateau, right? You just keep going, you keep rolling with the numbers, but your body adjusts. Like you know. Remember, just as an example, let's say someone was 100 kilos, right? And they get all the way down to 60 kilos, and let's say when they started dieting, they dieted on like 2200. Now they're dieting on like 1400 to get the same rate of change, right? Your body adjusts, your whole hunger levels adjust, everything adjusts as you get lighter and leaner, right? So usually speaking, I would tell people to drop. If you're struggling with your calories, like you're not seeing any weight loss in a plateau, and you feel that you're doing everything right, drop the calories by 200. If you're seeing consistent change every week, 100 or 150. You don't need to like make radical changes. 100 calories is like, what is that? Like your tablespoon of olive oil and maybe switching chicken thighs to chicken breast one meal. That's what the difference is, you know. You won't really feel it too much, but that's probably some general guidelines and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all I have at the moment.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Nice one. And then now back to Ghana, right?
Yes, back to Ghana. Yes, actually, it was around that workout question because I was told that you'd have to fuel your muscles for a good workout. So I have to wake up. I have to go work out around 5:30, just so that I can be back on time for the kids in the day. So at 5:30, my friend advised to have like a slice of bread, some peanut butter, a few slices of banana before the gym. I don't know if that is too much, that spikes cortisol, or like, what is the limit to what you have before you get in the gym?
You do not need to do any particular thing, right? And I'm making this like I'm being like relatively direct here when I say this. I'm like 95% plus of people, including me, who I consider I train quite hard in the gym and whatever, right? You don't need to do anything magical with pre-workout and like getting in, shoveling in loads of carbs and stuff. A slightly different example. I don't know if anyone saw my stories yesterday. I was like, I had no time to train on Fridays, had a really long, horrific double session yesterday. So I did have like some pineapple, mango, and banana before, which actually did help me. But if you are not training to a level of intensity that is like above and beyond, and you're doing your 45-minute circuit workout, or you're training for an hour with your PT, you don't need to do anything, most likely. I promise you.
Okay.
And if you do, you'll know about it. You'll be like, oh my God, I'm constantly low energy. You'll know about it, right? You'll know about that sort of thing, right?
Okay.
Most people, like, again, you have glycogen in your system. As soon as your body uses up those sugars and that glycogen in your muscles, right? And then it's kind of like searching for like, takes your body a bit of time to like find energy from somewhere else, right? But to deplete all of those energy resources, you need to work hard. Like, you're on a bike for like an hour or two sort of thing, and then you're like, okay, I need to start refueling myself here kind of thing, So the more intensely you train, so don't worry about it. If you want to have peanut butter and banana or whatever on bread, and you want that before you train, and you factor that into your calories, all good, but you do not have to do that. I promise you.
Oh, great. That's good, because it's very hectic at 5:30 trying to make a peanut butter banana sandwich before you go. And then is it this thing about eating eggs first thing to kind of mask, I guess, the insulin spike? You have to eat eggs first before anything. Is there any truth to this with this whole egg theory?
No. It completely depends on the meal that you're having. Completely depends on the meal as a whole, right? So in the morning, I have 4 eggs, sourdough, and bread every single day, because it's the one meal out of my entire day that I look forward to the most, right?
No.
But I could have anything else that has the same amount of protein and fiber. It's going to give me exactly the same effect. It's the meal as a whole, right? It's like you could have, I'm just making an example. You could put 3 tablespoons of sugar on your oats, right? And you're like, oh, look, it's going to spike my insulin. But at the end of the day, if you're like, I've got oats, I've got blueberries, I've got chia seeds in there, it takes your body, that's the whole point of it. It slows the whole digestion of everything down. So it's the meal as a whole. If you ate the sugar first and you waited like 5 minutes and then you ate your meal, yeah, you would. But people don't eat like that. They eat a bite of this, a bite of that. They eat a bite of this, a bite of that. So, and that's, you have to think about how that is sort of sitting and stacking in your stomach. Do you know what I mean? Like if it's whole food like that, then
that's encouraging. Yeah, it's getting exhausting.
Hopefully
those eggs.
The answer, you know what the answer is usually, right? The answer is it's usually more simple than you think. I promise you. Which is, you know what? I think that's good news for everyone, right? Why would you want me to tell you, right? You need to have the 2 eggs first, and then you need to wait precisely 5 minutes, and then have the watermelon, and then need that.
Yes. There's a lot of things out there, I'll tell you. So it's really great to hear this from your side. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Nice. You are most welcome. Anyone else for any other questions? You might as well just unmute yourself if you've got anything. No one's got their hand up.
Hi, Adam. I just asked about the collagen protein instead of whey protein, the one you mentioned, just to try.
Good question. I'll tell you
You
why.
have because it's so many things outside, because most of the time after 40s with workout, with diets and all the things, people are talking about collagen more or cortisol level more. So it's kind of like a whole lot of different level of stuff that we need to think about. Or do I need to think about it? Like just to be normal, healthy lifestyle leading.
Yeah. I'm going to give you some good news. Is you got one less thing to think about, because collagen supplements don't even give you a lot of the benefits that they are purported to give you. So, for example, I can only just give you the facts, right? Like, does the protein from collagen count? Yes, in terms of calories. But they will tell you it gives you skin and boosts your, you know, makes you look more vibrant, and it's got all these benefits, right? Half of the benefits in the science from collagen, all of them are funded by collagen supplement companies. And then the ones that show very mixed, doesn't really do anything, are all of the other like clinical trials, right? I'm just telling you that for what it's worth. The one thing I would say of collagen is that you try to keep this really simple. When you have protein, it's basically built up of like 8 amino acids, right? And one of them the reason that you want to get protein for muscle building is that one of them is called leucine, right? Which is what you need that stimulates your muscle growth. You go to the workout and you have leucine in your check-in and all of this sort of stuff, and it will help you rebuild, right? Collagen basically is actually missing that, right? I'm not saying that like it doesn't have benefits and the other proteins are doing stuff, right? But if you were relying on, let's say, collagen supplements alone, you wouldn't actually be getting enough leucine in the day to stimulate enough muscle growth. So if anything, like, you don't need to feel like you're missing out, is what I'm trying to say, if you're not having like collagen. If collagen gave me any kind of meaningful benefit, I would be having it every day. The only supplements I have are creatine, magnesium, and these are marginal benefits. Like the creatine, more of a benefit, but magnesium for sleep at the end of the day, just because for a bit of like recovery, because it's got some science back to it. I have vitamin D3, and that's it. That's all there is. Don't even need vitamin D3 now because it's like 49 degrees in the UK this week. So,
Thank you.
so yeah, that's pretty much what I'd say. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's all right. You are most welcome. Anyone else? Anything else? Yeah, Amina. Oh, Jill. Sorry, Jill.
That's all right. Hi. And for the protein powders and shakes, is there one that you would recommend over others, or were they all round about the same?
They're all round about the same. The brands that I use are. I'm sponsored again by absolutely no one. My protein, bulk powders, Optimum Nutrition, and someone once sent me something out from Legion, but you could probably get like PhD, any of them. I'll tell you what, I'll put in the chat now. Go on Amazon, I'll give you some recommendations. I need to create a wish list as well for like things, because God, the amount of people that are like, every day, where did you get your peeler from? Where did you get your peeler from? Where did you get your bowl from? Where did you get your jars from? I'm like, I don't know, Amazon. Where did you get your olive oil spray bottle from?
Oh yeah, where did you get that from? I want one of those.
Yeah. Just type in Amazon. So don't type in. Just go to Amazon and just type in oil sprayer. You'll see the one that looks like mine. Get that one.
Okay, thank you.
And Jill, you'll be able to attest that I always stay to the end of my calls, don't I? Right to the end.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. You are, absolutely.
Basic. So the one that I get is, I'm just going to put this in the chat. This is the ones that I have at home. They're not anything madly special. They're just.
Oh, brilliant.
That's I always get vanilla, because vanilla is the most versatile. And then I don't need like chocolate cherry happy birthday cake flavour. There's loads of wacky flavours that you can get. This is one I use for all of my chocolate ones, because I think that these lot have been going for like probably the best part of 20, 30 years. They were still going when I was at uni. But honestly, like anything that is towards the top that says whey protein concentrate or whey protein isolate, right?
Yeah.
All you need to do, right? But do check. What I would say is that whenever you check for the whey protein concentrate stuff, any whey protein powder, sorry, just make sure that per 100 grams, you're getting about 75 to 80 grams of protein, because some of them are very sneaky. So I'll give you an example. That bulk powders, nothing wrong with them, but they've got they've got one that says basic whey protein, and they've got another one that says pure whey protein. I thought the basic whey protein was like my standard way. I got it. I looked at the back and I was like, this tastes really sweet. I was like, oh, they got me on the marketing there on the front of the packet. So just double check. Always read the back of the label.
Right.
Per 100 grams should be about 400 calories. It should be about 80 grams of protein. That's how you know you've got the right.
8 grams or 80.
80. Definitely don't get one that has 8 grams. That'll be pure sugar.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I've done in the past is not looked at the how many grams of protein, because I find the ones that I've bought in the past really, really sweet, and I don't like really sweet drinks at all.
Yeah, I think like my protein are pretty balanced, but and bulk and optimum, they're all sort of like somewhere in the middle, but there definitely is a bit of a preference thing. Like some of them might be a bit sweeter than others, but once you find the one that you like,
yeah. Okay, lovely.
All good, nice one.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Someone else said in the chat, 80 or 8 grams. 80
oh yeah,
grams per 100.
80.
Each scoop, which is almost always 30 grams, should be about 110 to 120 calories, and it should give you approximately 24 grams of protein. That's it. If it doesn't give you 24 grams of protein, it's got a load of added weird stuff that you don't need.
Yeah.
Someone else asked me in the chat, which I didn't really cover today. It was actually Amina. Benefit of creatine: helps you for strength workouts. It will give you an extra 8 to 15% for each person, whether you're trained or untrained. So it is the most studied, best supplement that you can get. I take it every single day. Another benefit of creatine that people don't always realize: if you are in particular in a jet lagged or a tired state, i.e. you slept 5 hours, 4 hours, right? If you have like double the dosage of creatine, so usually you'd get people to have like 5 grams. If you have like 15 grams of creatine, it will genuinely help you mask mental brain fog and fatigue. So that feeling of when you wake up and you're like, oh my god, this is not the day I'm running on 4 hours. If you have like 15 grams plus of creatine, it will genuinely help you on those days. And I will do that when I have a day where I'm like, I've slept crap, it's not really my day. I would do that, and it genuinely helps. And if you're on creatine, it might make you gain water weight. Keyword water weight, not anything else weight. And you're not gaining fat. You might have that. Apart from that, I can recommend creatine. It's also really cheap.
Okay. And can I? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
If you probably want to go now, it's really late. For workouts, I work out with a PT twice a week, and I do find I have realised I am gaining some muscle mass, but as a 60-year-old woman, I found these parts of my arms, like everybody, are really, really hard to do anything with. Is there anything that you would personally recommend to try and build up that area?
If I had a cent for every time someone asked me that, I would be a bajillionaire by now.
Okay.
Basically, the only thing that you can do with stubborn areas, right? Let's say it's your triceps or it's your thighs or it's your hips or whatever it is, right? Is you cannot spot reduce like fat in a particular area of your body. However, you can build as much muscle as you possibly can in your body to spread out the surface area, right?
Yeah.
The however bit is that these are the smallest muscles on your body, right? Your triceps, right? And biceps. So it's really hard, as I was saying to, I think it was Monica earlier, I was like, it's really hard to build new tissue here because it's such a small muscle, right?
Well, I'm building it. I'm building it this side. It's just not this side.
Yeah. And also gravity tends to work that way, right? It doesn't tend to work the other way. So keep doing your tricep exercises, keep doing your pushing movements. The more muscle you can gain is only going to be like a beneficial thing. And you can never promise that you're, going to get rid of, the classic bingo wings is what they call it, right? That's what my mum calls it. She goes, how do I get rid of my bingo wings? And I'm like, more push-ups, mum. Drop it down. Give me 15.
Okay, so just keep doing and building them gradually.
Keep doing, and just accept that you're going to have some areas of your body which are just going to be like, it's a bit of a trouble area. It's, you're never going to have like loads of muscle. It's fine. Everyone's got those areas that are all relative and individual to each person. So.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right, magical team. All right. On that note, 3
Hello,
hours
Adam.
sesh. Oh, you got one more? Go on.
Yes, please. Thank
Go
you
for it,
so much
Gigi.
for an insightful session.
Good.
I have, I think, two questions. The first question, I want to tell you about my regime, my weekly regime. It won't take too long. Basically, I work out 5 days a week, 1.5 hour sessions, and it's kind of split between strength training and cardio. So maybe 3 days weight training where I target like my arms, my thighs, and my what's the other one? Yeah, or a whole full body workout. So some weeks, like I said, I'll do 3 days of that, different days. And in between that, I could say I used to do the Stairmaster, but now I'm trying to do between 10,000 to 18,000 steps a day. But first of all, I wanted to find out if that combination works, the 3 days strength training and 2 days cardio, or do I flip it around to 3 days cardio and 2 days strength training? I'm over 40 and I'm trying to hold on to as much muscle mass as I can, and of course build new muscle. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on that.
So generally speaking, I would prioritize a little bit more of the muscle stuff because it's the stuff that people are lacking in, right? For most people, right? I'd say 3 is definitely better than 2. Like significantly better. Like cardio, you can just always put in more by either doing more steps or going for a run. It's quite easy and accessible. So I would prioritize personally the 3 days over the 2 for the strength stuff, and just make sure that you're targeting your body. So each muscle group at least twice a week. That will be like for optimum like gains and performance. So if you were doing 2, so 3 workouts a week, the way that I'd probably do it is I'd probably do like, if I really was squeezing in 3, I'd do like either full body or I'd do full body and then upper and lower. Or if I was doing 2 days a week, only strength training, and that's the only 2 days I had, I'd 100% do full body, 100%. So
I
two
see.
times a week per body part, always.
Okay, but there was a time I was doing 5 days strength training and not even putting any cardio there. Would you say that's a better combination?
No, look, I think the balance, like it depends. All depends on what your goals are. I actually only do 5 days of strength training a week personally, and all of my other like cardio comes from walking the dog, going on the bike, cycling around London, doing whatever I'm doing, and that's how I do it because that's that might change, but generally speaking, if you've got 5 days to play with.
Yeah.
I think doing like 3 strength days and 2 cardio days is absolutely fine, and you have to pick the one that you enjoy. Don't pick the one that is like most optimal that you know that you can't stick to, right? So if you're like, I like cardio, I like going outside, I like doing some running, I like doing the stairmaster, I like doing whatever, right? Do the one that you enjoy. You have to enjoy your program, otherwise you will have no longevity.
I see. Thank you. And the other question I was going to ask is, so let me talk about my thighs. Um, the days when I'm doing full body or lower body, I focus on the squats and everything in between, or as much as I can. But I wanted to ask you about sets. I was doing between 10 to, is it sets, not sets? I would do 5 sets and then about 10 to 15. I was doing 15 reps and I was told I was doing 10 sets. I was told to increase it. Sorry, 10 reps. And I was told to increase it. Then I increased it to 15. And then someone told me recently, no, you have to kind of do it till failure, because I'm at the point where I'm getting frustrated, where, I'm getting soreness after a leg day, I'm feeling it. And I'm just not like, I'm seeing things, but it's not happening as fast as I would like. So I'm thinking, what people keep saying is you have to hit it hard. If you have to carry more heavier to be able to see it. So I just wanted to ask your thoughts on that.
Yeah,
Do I
yeah,
do
good
more
question.
reps, and do I
Short
have to
answer
carry
is
heavier?
short answer is everything works and everything doesn't. But anywhere between, generally speaking, 5 to 20 reps, pick a rep range and roll with it. Doesn't matter, right? So go 10 to 15, go 6 to 10, doesn't really matter. Myself, I do for squats 6 to 8 because I cannot bear doing 10 reps of squats. Mentally, I can't do it. Just some things in life that I hate it. And I can do it if I had like a workout partner, if I was training for an event, but like on a Wednesday after like filming 2 reels, and I'm like, I need 6 reps. So I do 6 reps and I do 4. So instead of doing 3 sets of 10, I spread it out and I can increase the weight. It works for me, right? But the most important thing is you need to train somewhere between 3 to 0 reps in reserve, which basically means to failure. So I recommend for most people, you probably want to be training somewhere like 1 to 2 reps in the tank, right? And then you have some workouts where you push a bit harder, right? And you go to failure, but you shouldn't be going to failure all the time because I'm actually very into strength training. I know I'm like all nutrition and meal plans and all that kind of stuff, but I'm actually like a strength trainer nerd. So basically, without getting too complex, there's a relationship between like when you go to failure, you have a better workout, right? But the difference between, let's say you did a set of 10 on squats and 10 was max out, you couldn't do any more, right? You might gain an extra 10% or 15% of muscle growth from that one set compared to if you did 9 reps, okay? The however is that you dig 30 to 40% into your recovery just to get that extra rep. So it's better to stretch it out. So the way that I do my training programs is if I do it in like a training block of like, say, 6 to 8 weeks. I start on something that gives me 3 reps in reserve. So let's say max out, if I killed myself, I can do 10 reps. I stop at 7. The next week, I try to increase the weight, maybe try to get 1 or 2 more reps. And I just try to make slow and small increments until I get to the point on week 6, 7, or 8, where I do train to failure, because you have to have a point where you overreach and you push yourself a bit harder, and that's where the growth does happen. But you can't just train to failure all the time because you'll burn out. You can't burn out. It's like going for a sprint, right? 100% max speed, right? You're going to be exhausted. You can't train again. That's the drawback. Is that the higher your intensity, the less frequency and the less volume you can do. So there's a relationship between all of this stuff without getting too complex. So maybe I'll do a strength masterclass one day.
That would be lovely.
Yeah. So
Thank
it sounds like Jill wants to hear about the relationship between strength, load, and intensity, and weight and volume. There you go.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. Thanks, Adam.
That's all right. If you've made it to the last 35 participants, you are all the legends, basically. Even if you've been listening to me whilst you've been doing meal prep, I guarantee someone's been doing that 100%. They're making one of my dishes and they're listening to me in the background. 1,000,000%, because people do that on my weekly coaching calls. We have our like little group of like 5, 8 people, and then I'll just see them like making something. But yeah, hope you all got like a ton of value. I'm gonna go and walk the dog and feed myself some dinner. And yeah, if I see you inside the app in like a week and you're in there, fantastic. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to make it as good as I can. And if there's any little teething issues, we'll like sort it out. But I've got the whole next week to just need to put in the rest of the recipes. And what you see in there at the beginning, I promise you will not be, I'm sure you'll be happy with it, but I'm sure, like I said, we're just going to keep building out features week by week by week by week. Like I said, if I see you in there, fantastic. If I see you in the next masterclass, great. And if I see you on a coaching call because you've done the one-to-one with me and team, then I'll see you in there. But apart from that, have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you.
Hours of my week. All right, nice.
Oh, thank you. What day does it launch? Sorry, Noura.
6th of July.
It's...
I'm gonna put some. If you're on the email list, anyone, you'll get a thing to kind of put it into a calendar. I'm gonna do like the final launch details, exactly what I said on the call. So like I said, I'll email you all, and you all get a recording of this, so you can listen back to me and your own questions. Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m. my time. That's when it goes out, and I'll give you a couple of extra freebies because you joined as well. All right, nice one. All right, team. See you later. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Adam.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.